All right, welcome back to Finding Truth Podcast here on Unscripted Truth TV. Logan back again, and today's episode will be focused on, or at least partially focused on, our most recent holy day here in America. Good night, of course, being the 4th of July, and we'll kind of take a look at it, at the history of it, and if you guys are up to date with Zach's channel, he's talked about it several times, but there's quite the conspiracy, or at least perceived conspiracy to some, about the coincidence, you could call it, or they in fact call it, with 3 of the first 5 presidents and their deaths on 4th of July, and a few other things to highlight about it, but we'll look into it just kind of as we go as well. I am in the process of getting our guests in here. I had to start a little bit late, had a bit of a home life crisis here, but it has subsided. So excuse me while I make sure I send him a link here. So just a moment. This should just take a second. Sorry, I'm doing this right at the start, of course, but I wanted to make sure I got on in decent time. I was already being late. All right, just about done here. All right. All right, cool. All right. Anyways, apologies. I guess before we go into the faux presentation, which isn't much of an actual presentation, there are some numbers to crunch and talk about, but I did want to look into maybe some more of the, because once you've opened your eyes to how the rituals in across the world work, you realize that it's not like based off like the thing that's happening in your time only. It's always paying homage to something, and a lot of these things can be traced back to ancient, like quite some ways, when you want to talk about the Sumerians and the early language adapters in the history books. So yeah, I'm interested to see. I did a little bit of digging on some famous deaths on July 4th, and it's some interesting names in there and interesting personalities and characters in there. But it'd be interesting to look at the date itself and maybe what it represents. I know that there's people more astronomically inclined that understand. Like, I know that July 4th was on some sort of weird alignment, but I didn't follow up looking into it. So maybe that's something we can check here as we go. But I was going to say we might as well. That I think the NASCAR race literally just ended, like just now. It did just end. Okay, so bring this up for you guys to see. We have the CB brothers, and if you don't know what I mean by that, you got Chase Briscoe and Christopher Bell, and me and Austin have done some significant digging into their history. And for those of you who don't know, Christopher Bell is the one that is credited for getting Chase Briscoe into NASCAR, or at least into the Cup Series, and they share multiple similarities. Yeah, their birthday is a day apart, 1 day apart. You guys can't see that. December 15th, 1994 for Mr. Briscoe. Christopher Bell, December 16th, 1994. 31, obviously. They have the interesting initial match, the CB, and then their extensive history as well. But yeah, not surprising that a Chase happened to win here. My pick personally was actually Alex Bowman, and I think he top 5. He did top 5. At one point, he was like 30th. He was like a lap behind. And I know that there's like pit, when you pit, it'll say you're a lap behind, but he was a lap behind for a hot minute. So once I seen him coming up, I was like, oh, maybe I'm right about it. And I'll show you guys why I potentially thought Alex Bowman could have taken it this week. It has to do with like a NASCAR post that they put out with the founding fathers of NASCAR, and Alex Bowman was like leading the little boat that they were all on. It was like Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, Brad Keselowski, and Alex Bowman was on the front. So I just thought that was interesting. Unfortunately, I didn't get to looking into too many dates or anything like that. But once again, not surprised. I didn't have a prediction for NASCAR this week at all, but I'm certainly not surprised to see Briscoe take it. And hold on. There's a potential next guest. I think I'll have to wait till next week. He just hit me up and we're already going. So, but yeah, something we could definitely look into. We can at least look into crunch the easy numbers. So we know his birthday is December 15th. Let's bring that up. Yeah, so from his last birthday to today, 202 days. That's interesting. To his next birthday is 163 days. There are some words that correspond to 163. I don't know if they fit in this necessarily. Let's see what his name in Gematria pulls up here. His slave name. Mr. Briscoe. It's funny, I've been watching an old show called Briscoe County Jr. a lot too, so it's funny that Briscoe's doing as well as he is now. What's his? It's like David Wayne. That's right. He's got a long name. Got a 127 in his full name. No. Okay, so Briscoe is his surname. Okay. It's a long ass name. $349th day of the year. That's the prime. Yeah, 70th prime. Okay. And then what was his last win? That's what I was this. All right. Since 2020, what is it? I don't know why this website does this also. Interesting. This is his 144th race for Ford and his 54th. He has 54 races for Toyota. Interesting. I don't know if that was his 55th race or if this is updated and it was his 54th race, but interesting that he won on his 54th race when he has 144 races in the Ford previous, the 14. Let's see here. His last win was that win right before. Oh, did he win 2 last year? Yeah, he must have. So his last one was at Talladega, October 19th. And 19 wins on the 19th. I'm sure we mentioned that. $259 days later. What's that? 37 weeks. 12th round. What all-time win was that for him? Oh, see, this isn't even updated though. Damn. Yeah, this isn't updated. So it must have been his 55th race in the 19. So he got his 6th one, it looks like. Oh, that's just right. Yeah, 6th of his career. Sorry, I'm just kind of thinking here. Let's get his full name off the screen. What about just his surname? 35, 46, and 71. I wonder, is he Catholic? I don't know if this would even say it. Sometimes you can Google it though. He is not Catholic. He's a devout Christian. Yeah, the more I'm looking at it, it probably is more of a nod to the Gibbs team as a whole, or just a Joe Gibbs. Let's put Mr. Joseph Gibbs. I always forget his birthday, November 25th. So from his last birthday to this win, 222 days exactly. Interesting. So his next birthday is 143 days. Let's see, Joseph Gibbs. What's his actual name? Joe Jackson Gibbs. That's right. It might not even be Joseph, honestly. I'll have to look it up. I can't remember if he is someone that just has his name as Joe. Interesting. So 52. I wonder what win was that for Gibbs all time? Is there a way to look up teams, isn't there? Yes. I don't know if this is updated, but it might very well be their 233rd win if this hasn't updated yet. Nope, it hasn't upgraded. Yeah. Huh. Oh, okay, it shows them all. Okay, it's not just finished, not just firsts. Interesting. So it looks like it's their 233rd win. Of course, Joe Gibbs does have that 33 connection. When that it's on the board, it's always interesting to remember Mr. Gibbs, because Joe Gibbs equals 33, Gibbs equals 33. What's JGR equal? It has some of the Catholic numbers now. Hold on, let me get our boy on here. All right, without further ado, we do have our guest, or our host, I should say, our co-host with the most, Uncommon TruthShaman. How's it going, buddy?
How you doing, man?
Not too bad. Had a little bit of a late start, so it looks like it sort of worked out because I wasn't able to hop on here until honestly about 15 minutes ago. So
right.
You come up.
Yeah, it was a wild weekend, man. I live on the lake, so I live in a small town, right? Like when I first moved to this small town, it was like the city limits had less than 1,000 people.
Oh, damn.
And then, but it's on the lake. There's a big lake here, so holidays it probably like at least triples the amount of people that are in town, and it's wild.
So yeah, I was just peeking at the NASCAR results.
Who won today?
Chase Briscoe.
First time win, right?
This season, absolutely, yeah. He took second last week.
We talked about this last week. Number 19. This was the 19th race, wasn't it? Hell yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, we were.
I think you even specifically said that he's to pay attention to him for the 19th race.
Baby, that's right.
Yeah,
dude, we literally talked. Roll it back, guys.
And if you notice, he has what me and Austin would always say is his brother, Christopher. We went at length about how there's a somewhat probability that Christopher Bell and Chase Briscoe are related. Their birthdays are a day apart. They're the same age. Birthdays a day apart. And Christopher Bell's the one that got Chase Briscoe into the Cup Series. And there's more to it than that.
What team is Briscoe and Bell? What do they race for?
Joe Gibbs.
Okay. All right. Damn, I wonder what odds that was. That was probably pretty good. That was probably pretty good odds.
As far as I don't know where he sat. My guy, I was thinking Alex Bowman had a good narrative to win, but he did top 5, which is kind of crazy, thinking that he's going to win and he top 5 somehow because he hasn't had a great season at all. So
yeah, that's legit.
Byron was up there for a while too, and I was like, man, was there anything to do with Tennessee in the news? And I was like, no, not really.
So out of those top 5, is there anyone that does not have a win yet?
I don't believe William Byron does yet.
Okay.
And Bowman doesn't, and Christopher Bell doesn't. I'm pretty sure.
So hey, real quick with this, go back to that if you don't mind. No, go ahead, look up the wins. You're good. But what my point is, the whole point I was talking about Chase Briscoe last week was because you said this was the 19th race, right?
I believe we calculated it, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, who's the 19? Who drives the 19? It was Briscoe. Okay, so that means next week is the 20th race, correct?
Yeah, Mr. Bell that'd be crazy if the bros go back to back. And they love going back to back with Joe Gibbs too. Back to back sometimes too.
Dude, I'm thinking Christopher Bell, number 20 in the 20th race of the season. That thing it just worked last week, so.
Let's see. Yeah, because I thought it was like the halfway point.
Yeah, because you were talking about something, and I was like, well, what race was it of the season? You counted it up, and so we're like, okay, so next week's 19. Who drives 19? Briscoe. Boom. Okay, next week's 20. Who drives 20? Bell.
Yep, it was the 19th race.
I'm gonna look into
19 on the 19th race. Yeah, good point. Good point, Christopher Bell. I mean, we could do a little peeksy. Let me double check and make sure that the race is next week. Sometimes I get tripped up because it's like I don't know the format of their schedules and stuff.
All right.
Let's just go ahead and ask. So the Quaker State 400. Yep, it's next week, July 12th.
Dude, I forgot all about that. I wish I would have remembered that 19.
Let's see. So he's the 16th. Let's just do some birthday real quick. It's from his last birthday. This upcoming race will be 208 days later, a span of 209. To his next birthday is 157, or a span of 158. Christopher. He's got those Freemasonry numbers. Also, yeah, Chris. Yeah, he's got the David in his name as well. Look at Chase David Wayne Briscoe, Christopher David Bell,
and then you got that Chase. We just talked about Chase Davy last week or the week before.
Yeah, David Chase. Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier too. I was like, I'm not surprised that Chase wins here at all. Keep that because it's like phonetics. They want like a certain phrase. I'm sure it has something. It plays something into chakras or whatever, but at the same time, it's just keeping things at the tip of people's mind.
That's what fascinates me is how, like, you know, they tie this into political, but they also tie things into spiritual or astrological too, and it's very interesting. Like why they give so much energy or focus, more accurately, into lining these up with the planets, or you get what I'm saying? Like they're not doing it for no reason.
No reason, yeah.
You know, so why do they put so much energy into that? But I think I saw right there Chris Bell, or no, Chase Briscoe, he was born in 94, I think is what I saw right there.
Yeah.
So I mean, that makes sense just because we have the World Cup going on right now, and the U.S. is one of the host countries of it. And the last time the U.S. was hosting the World Cup was in 1994. So
sports always intermingling. I mean, right now we're talking about Joe Gibbs' team, who's, you know, obviously made his fame in the NFL. And then you have Michael Jordan being the winningest program right now. Obviously, he made his fame in the NBA. Lots of crossover.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when Joe Gibbs came into racing, you know, I mean, I was younger, but I remember when that happened. It was just like, and I obviously didn't, I was a kid, so I didn't know anything about like this. So it's just, wow, that's neat. He does football and he does NASCAR, you know, and then you like pop an eye opener too, and you're like, oh, okay. This is all commingling and curing, you know. We just had it with the NBA and the WNBA and the Commissioner's Cup.
Yeah. Now, have you ever heard about the white party that they do every year
for NASCAR?
No, just for it's just one of the. I'll bring it up. Sorry to bring it up out of the blue and then not follow up right away, but I just wanted to check real quick. I
mean, arguably, you know, definitely majority, I would say, but arguably you could say every NASCAR weekend's a white party almost, but.
Okay, so his last win last year at Bristol. Now he had the three-peat early on in the season, as you see here. He won February 23rd, March 2nd, March 9th, back-to-back. Then didn't win for some time, about half a year, until he got his next win that year. And that was during the playoffs, I believe, as well, because Joe Gibbs went back-to-back in the playoffs. It was also the 201st win for Toyota. It's funny stuff they like to do there. So September 13th is the last win. To this next race, 302 days later, 43 weeks and a day. Interesting that it's 9 months, 4 weeks, but like 94, but there's that day in there.
32, man.
I think his name, like Chris, equals 32 in Or maybe not. Is it Bell? Oh, that's 23. I'm tripping. Chris does have that 33 though, like Joe Gibbs and Gibbs itself. Oops, not Chris.
Yeah, and I know in the World Cup today, I'm trying to think. Brazil lost.
Oh, they lost. Oh, that's gonna bust a lot of brackets. Didn't a lot of people be high on Brazil?
Yeah, there was a lot. Actually, I heard on Zach's Patreon this morning, there was somebody, one of the callers, and they were like, Brazil.
Now Norway, is that not the guy that has like who's like making the circuit as of the last few months, like the super famous?
Yeah, kid? I don't know how to say it.
Yeah,
his
right there.
But yeah, he's been scoring goals like no other.
Erling Haaland
in the game, his last game, not this game today, but the last game, dude. Yeah, he's been scoring goals like crazy.
Yeah, Erling Haaland. He's been like making the circuit like crazy. Everybody's doing collabs with him all of a sudden, and he's been like one of the most famous people out of this whole World Cup.
Whoever scores the most goals in the World Cup, it's like a special award, almost like the MVP or whatever, and it's called the Golden Boot. And so, yeah, like they're like the talk or whatever, they're high. You know how they have to hype up the drama for the sports, and so a lot of people are talking about that guy and Messi and who's going to get it between the two. So.
Erling Haaland. How many goals does he have?
I want to say 5. Maybe I'm wrong. Because he scored.
Hold on. Is Germany's out, right?
Yeah.
Damn. Because they had that one game where one guy's, I can't remember, he scored maybe 4 goals or at least 3, but they 9-0'd somebody or 9-1 the team. I can't remember. We're up against U.S. against Belgium.
If I remember, like hearing it correctly, I want to say Zach was saying that if Brazil lost, it would be their 32nd loss, I think, maybe all time in the World Cup. I think is what he said, and that's significant because I think Brazil equals 32. I think is what he was saying.
Yes, it does.
Yep. And the most pure. So and then that.
What they call it, Brasilia too. What's the other term for Brazil?
Oh, I think I know they do it with a Z. Sometimes they do it with an S. I was thinking about that the other day.
Yeah, that's right.
What is it with an S? What are the values with that?
Okay. It's the 47. Wow. It's got the 61, like Erling Haaland. Interestingly enough.
Right.
The reverse there. It's Brasilia. That's right. It's with the S though. That's how they'll spell it like that sometimes too. It's got Catholic numbers, which is I'm pretty sure it's mostly Catholic there.
That makes sense. They got Christ the Redeemer statue.
Yeah.
Very Catholic country. Wow, that's interesting.
I mean, just look at that. Just the reverse 46-64 here, and otherwise it's a full match.
Triple match. I mean, yeah, it's a
coincidence, Don't worry. Right. It's not like super Catholic in Brazil. Don't worry. Don't look into
happen, it. Okay. Things happen sometimes,
Life moves fast. You can't, it's hard to keep track of these things.
Yeah. Eventually it's going to happen like that. Yeah. But so they'll use the same number across sports and then into politics or tragedies too. So that I think that super bolsters Chris Bell for next week. That 302 days that since his last win, and Brazil just picked up their 32nd loss. Like, you might see surface level that's not a correlation, but I see it all the time. They do that. It'll be the same number no matter what the sport for like a week or two, or normally a week.
Young buck. Oh no! So no wonder he's famous. He plays for Man City, so he's already on like one of the most famous teams outside of the World Cup. But let's see, Erling Braut Haaland. Manly name. Is that what it is?
You know how they had that picture with Trump allegedly standing with the Nordic aliens? Is what you know what I'm saying?
No, I have no idea. Sounds sick, man.
There's. I mean, it's just trash for people to like waste time on. I mean, there's no way that's real, dude. But people are entertaining it like it's legit. Like he's just gonna be standing on the sidewalk outside the freaking White House with Nordic aliens and have a chance to be snapped a picture of, get out of here, dude.
When is the next game? Because his birthday's coming up. I think you could have looked ahead and saw that this kid's birthday is coming up and kind of figured out he's not going to lose to Brazil.
Dude, that's a good point.
They love giving people their birthday presents.
So the 21st, and so next week it's the 5th right now. Okay.
Yeah, because I don't know.
Totally, there's going to be stuff. There's value in that. Wait, his birthday's coming up. That's big time.
The 11th is what is scheduled to play, so it'll be the eve of his birthday.
So we're 16 days away.
Which it may be his birthday in his home country.
Yeah, true.
Oh, so this will be in Miami. So Holland, I don't know what time they're on, but I'm pretty sure no, he's not from Holland. I'm tripping.
So I guess did it have it where it had the bracket? Because who are they going to play? Yeah. Norway, and it's to be determined.
Mexico and England,
which is going on right now. Okay.
Is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. England's up 2-1.
I need Mexico to qualify. Would be great.
Yeah, everybody's been high on Mexico. I feel like a lot of money's moved towards Mexico because of the dramatics and the emotions behind it. Everybody's been high on Mexico, and then you just have England come in and just bust their balls. That'd be kind of how they like to do it.
Just going through the Patreon and kind of paying attention that way. Yeah. And this is kind of a trap game almost, in my opinion. For the point that you're making right there about all the attention and the money being on Mexico. And then so far they've had England playing kind of like trash, to where I think a lot of England's home fans weren't super happy with their performance so far, not feeling super confident. So the point you just made, that's perfect trap game for Vegas to have England come out and maybe pull
especially because it looks like Mexico's been dominating the game, but they're losing. It happens so much, guys. This is in every sport, but it definitely hits harder in a game like soccer. It's such a game of attrition. It's so long of a game, and but at the same time, well, technically, it's I think an NBA game is maybe longer, but
because all the advertisements,
yeah. But at the same time, the point being is just there's so few shots for how long the game is on average. And yet you'll have a team take 10 shots, only 3 on target, but still they take, 6 more shots than the other team, but England is up a goal. They've had the ball 61% of the game, but they're down a goal.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff they track in.
Yeah, from what I've paid attention from this the World Cup part of it, I mean, dude, all the major leagues are super bad and just so egregious in their and just coming up a point short or just doing just crazy things that make it obvious that the rig is in, no matter what you want to talk about tech or the numbers behind it all, whatever, just look at it. It's just completely rigged how they allow goals or offside this. You were talking about how they do this in all sports. So for instance, they play with 9/11 a lot. Okay. And so for the WNBA today, the first game on the slate was the Dallas Wings versus the Toronto Tempo. Okay. Anytime a team can get 9/11 record, dude, that hits almost so often. And so Toronto Tempo were 9-10 overall record. So if they lose, they're going to be 9-11. More that adds to that is Toronto used to be called New York. York. I mean, so it's that it has the relation with New York in that sense. They used to be named the same thing. But anyway, that totally happened. Part of that, who would I say? It was Dallas Wings. Okay. Yeah. And so Dallas was 12-8 overall. They could pick up their 13th win. Dallas equals 13. Also, that made them 7-5 road record What's today's date? Is it 7/5? Oh
It
yeah,
sure
yeah.
is.
It's still obvious. That's
yeah.
WNBA is awesome because of that. I mean, dude, it's right in your face how obvious they make it. Also, the 13-8, 138. Toronto tempo out full equals 138. I mean, there's like 4 lineups like directly for that game. It was just right in your face, you know.
So anyway, not anyway on what you're saying, but I was wrong. I dyslexic. I'm not dyslexic, but I read this July 12th, but his birthday's July 21st. So that's even more suspicious because like that almost means potentially that at least there's, a piece of the narrative for potentially him getting his, that him getting past this next round, like for sure, in order to get closer to the next round. And like, what would that be? Qualifying for the World Cup final right before his birthday?
Yeah, I think they'd be close because right now it's the round of 16.
So top, yeah, it'd be the quarterfinals.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay, I see. There's still Argentina, Egypt, Switzerland, Colombia, France, Morocco.
So they're in the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
So if they win, oh, dude. So that's on the 11th right there.
Mm-hmm.
That would be 10 days before his birthday. Correct?
Yep.
And so if they win then.
The final's 2 days before his birthday. So that's just kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So if Norway makes it, they'll have that boy to thank. And of course, no one's going to look at it from that angle. They'll just say, "Oh, he's great. He scored so many goals. He's so good." Right. And it'll just be, they're just latest Sports Center story right before his birthday. It looks like this kid's going to be celebrating 2 different things. It's just stupid shit they get to say.
I mean, the argument's ridiculous, dude. They literally had an article at the beginning of the World Cup talking about the different tech that they had in the ball.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
I mean, come on. You think they can't just steer that wherever they need it? Place it wherever they need it? Absolutely.
So tomorrow is this these 2 games. This will keep England scored again. Oh, geez. Jude Bellingham had 2, and Harry Kane's got a 60-footer.
Yeah, so...
Or a 60th minute.
This would make, if Mexico loses, because there's 3 host nations. It's America. It's Canada is hosting games. The United States and Mexico is hosting games. Canada just lost. I think it was yesterday. Canada lost, one of the host nations. So they're the first host nation to fall out. So now they have to host games, but they don't get to play anymore, So then it's just the U.S. and Mexico. So it's super interesting. If Mexico falls tonight, they'll be the second host nation out, and then USA plays tomorrow.
Yep.
They could fall. All the host nations could fall
back to back
days, dude. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a pattern. If Mexico loses tonight, there's a pattern happening here.
Think about the pattern though as well of like worldwide narratives, and especially since this is being hosted by, the Americas. Yeah. What has Trump been talking about? Making, absorbing North and South America and, making the Americas or America, just giant America. So that could be kind of at play. You have Mexico lose, you have Canada lose, maybe USA takes it just for potentially for that narrative. I think back to
I see what you're saying.
It'd just be interesting. It's an interesting thought. I don't know if it's going to, unfortunately, I'm way out of my league on, I'm surprised I even knew about this guy. But
that makes sense though. What you so how Donald Trump is basically using the United States and just trying to acquire, at least speaking on that, he's trying to acquire all these different lands, changing names of things, right? So Canada falling and Mexico falling, but the United States prevailing.
Could be interesting.
A idea.
What if that happened in our lifetime? I mean, you'd have people thinking it's like a good idea, and it's just like, man, they're just consolidating everything, and it's not. Then
it's
again,
corporate. It's corporate. And if you want to argue, this is what a time, day after our birthday, corporation's birthday. But if you ever want to argue about if it's a country or a corporation, I mean, dude, for the World Cup right here. So there's kind of a thing that people are talking about, because you were talking about kind of the gameplay of soccer. It's 2 45-minute halves, right? And then the clock just runs, and they add a little minutes at each end of each half, just for subs and all these things that happen, goals scored, whatever. But they play that full half. That's how the soccer is played. That's how the World Cup's always been played. You play that 45-minute half. There's no break of that up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the FIFA World Cup coming back to the United States hosting, now they implemented, and they're saying it's because all this heat. But they implemented a water break in the middle of the half, roughly somewhere in the middle of the half. The refs stop the game, stop the momentum for a water break. And they're saying it's because of the heat and it's for the players' safety or whatever. But people are saying, no. It's for more advertisement time, because this is the United Corporation,
That's part of the reason we, the United States, paid, to host. This was part of the agreement. You have potentially other countries, and it brings money, it brings tourism to their country. So they're making money on it. But America's going to go above and beyond to make every last buck that's out there and try to squeeze out even more. And once again, it's just like advertising. It's just like, it's got to be. It's a money moving mechanism, because like, who is seeing an ad and going and buying what's on the ad? How is an ad ever work? Who is this affecting?
I can't remember the D and the T, because I feel you, dude. It's not an advertisement for me. If I see that, it's an avertisement. Like, I don't want that now. Like, just because you're bothering me, you know what I mean?
It's definitely it's funny too, because I watched like that show Mad Men about like the early America, the advent of the like early advertisement off of the back of the propaganda that we talked about before. And advertisement is propaganda, don't get it twisted, but it's just so what's the word? I was gonna say like toxic. It's not the right word, but like parasitic. It's just like rather than just have like a product stand on its own merit, you have to go and like fake a whole like family or a scenario, and it's all just like this fake thing, whether it's a food product or a cleaning product or a medicine or something. You just have to have this cookie cutter fake white, like sanitized picture of what it would be to have that item or that piece of food or whatever it is. It's just like, why does that work? It can't work. They're just moving money. These advertisement companies are billion-dollar companies. And it's like, for what? How do they have so much money to give to streamers and to every single person that, it doesn't even make sense. Like, why, when you're watching like a streamer play a video game, why do they have to? And now, granted, I understand why they do it. It's subconscious brainwashing. I'm saying, like, God forbid the people who are actually like, oh shit, I got to go get whatever that was. If there's people like that, then I kind of want to meet them.
No, I don't. I think I see a lot of them, man. I do. Like I said, I live on the lake, and so like 4th of July, I see it float up and down the cove. And I'm not some, downer, wah, no fun. but it is interesting with like, just especially the state of the days, I get it's a holiday, but it's interesting watching how carefree, and just, I don't even know. I don't think that, like, so you're talking about the advertisements and someone that would click on it. I think scarily, there's a lot of people that they do, you know what I mean? A little alert on their phone here, and that's why they make this purchase or for delivery to the front door now. If they really were
buy now,
it will. Like, I think a lot of times people are making little tasks that they do are notified by corporations more than they'd like to really realize, or will realize really.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I can understand even, they're not going to waste the bandwidth too. So I'm saying like it might be, subversion and subconscious programming, but that's built into something else as well. They're going to get something out of it, a tangible thing out of it as well, whether that's, tracking your data or tracking your movements or indexing how many people in this area are willing to look at a certain thing or follow up on a certain thing or do anything with a certain thing. All that's like important for like logistics, but also at the same time, they're subconsciously brainwashing you and manipulating you as well. It's more than one thing at any time.
Steering actions where like the person is almost literally like a parasite, to where the person is going through the motions and they're not even realizing what's happening. They're not consciously even thinking about. I bet you how many purchases you think are made tap on the phone here or there, and then the person forgets almost instantly, and so like 2 hours later they probably remember that they just spent $100 on whatever app. You know what I mean? I bet that happens a lot. It's like retroactively realizing, dude, I just spent $120. Maybe I shouldn't have done that.
I think it's a lot of vicariousness too, because a lot of people will live vicariously through the people they watch online, and that's like everybody's favorite thing to do, especially after 2020. I'm getting so sick of after 2020. I understand what it means and that it is true and it is how it is, but I just hate that like blanket excuse. I'm like
2019 was so great.
Yeah. It makes sense we weren't doing it before, but you got to give us some slack.
I'm gonna start protesting for the year 2020. I'm gonna start standing up for the year 2020. I think it's catching a lot of slack. It doesn't deserve. Yeah, it was a shit year, but I think 2019 was probably pretty shitty, and 2018 was probably pretty shitty. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but also it's like for the people that didn't play by all their shit, fake, dumb rules. You had empty parks, there was lines, no one likes lines. All of a sudden there were no lines, if for any player that was open, there wasn't really any more lines. So that was kind of a good thing. Mexico has scored, so they're making some drama out of it. But yeah, absolutely.
We were talking about, you were talking about the advertisement. You made me think about something. You were talking about the reasons for the propaganda, and like the subliminal and just kind of getting to the subconscious of people, right? And for propaganda purposes and all the sorts. But then also just like, the FIFA World Cup, if Mexico comes back and wins, you know how pissed off England's going to be? Like those people are going to be so mad. But either way, it's an energy harvest, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's why they have these like huge comebacks and people choke in games. It's a humiliation rituals and it's an energy harvest. We were talking about why they give so much focus and attention on, relating and referencing to astrology or more like, kind of spiritual or energetical, metaphysical types of, areas, right? And so they're into energy harvesting. They do it with these sports, and I think they also do it with advertisement. I think that they want you to see, like, whether it be a food place, the advertisement, the burger looks so great, it is like immaculate, and then you go there and it's like you open your little thing and it's like slop thing on there. It looks horrible, a lot of the time. And I think that's part of the reason they want it to be look so good, and they want you to be upset whenever you go and have the experience. They want you to be like, I'm talking about big corporate. I'm not talking about small.
Well, exactly, but it's unrealistic. That's what I was kind of leaning into, was saying, like, I'm sick of the excuse by people about like 2020. I'm also sick of people's excuses of not tempering their expectations. Who works at a Red Robin? You think you're getting somebody who cares about your meal and that your every bite will be their care? They're not. They're slapping shit together as fast as possible in a sweaty kitchen. These are dudes. Might as well be waiting. That's what you should picture when you go to these kind of places.
Well, think about this. This is when it gets scary. So you're talking about dinner, right? And so I just had this conversation with my mom about her dad, and he's just had a double stroke. He's in a bad situation. And there's like the whole assisted living situation that's going to have to happen now, or, you know, nursing home things come up. And we're not like going to, the point I was making is exactly what you're talking about. You think you're going to Red Robin, you think you're getting someone who actually cares about your burger. This is what the point I was making to her. I was like, be very careful about the decision here, because like, what do you think that if you're weighing out this place compared to that place when it comes to like the care of a loved one, or like, what do you think? Who do you think works there? You think they're picking out of some gene pool or some like premium employees to pick from? No, it's the same people where you're going to go around and get shit service at a drive-through window or wherever. It's the same community. It's the same people. So it's not just like, you know, making that decision. It matters is what my point.
Especially because hospice care, it's multiple levels lower than like a physician.
Right.
They are there to do like what a lot of people can do. It's just, it's kind of a corporatized world. It's just like in any other era of humans, you would have people take care of elderly, like, you know, members of their family in the best that they can. And if something more serious were to come up, they would get try to get a doctor or medicine, whatever it was. But now, if you were to do that, you would be deemed like a heretic. You would be deemed like you're doing things weird. You might even get flagged, saying like, you might even get flagged for some like maltreatment or whatever, or, you know, malpractice, even though you don't have practice. Not the right words, but you know, the court might see you having not. It's very similar to like wanting to take care of your child, just, you know, not have the state involved. You can't do that. They'll look at you
it's tough. We just did this with my Nana. She passed away January 8th. So it hadn't even been a year. But that's what we did. She had dementia. I mean, that's a whole process. Years. It takes years. You know, it's like the process of that. But what you're saying is absolutely correct, and it's very legally, it's so weird. It's such a gray area, and especially in this country, I think too, just because there's taboo involved with it as well, and just there's legislation being held back in certain way. I don't know, or at least a system like to make it easier to care for a loved one. I mean, really, being put in a nursing home is just the most convenient, and a lot of times the only way a lot of people can do it, you know.
And that's by design.
Right.
You know, it's very much a convenience thing. And I think a lot of people realize when their loved one's gone that, I mean, there are, I'm sure, extenuating circumstances for a lot of people, but for other people, I think there are ways within their means that they didn't, you know, potentially try.
It's so expensive. Like that's what we just were able to successfully do that for my Nana. She never had to go into a nursing home, and you know, the same thing can happen for my Papa Bobby, for my mom's dad. You know, he can't. I just the way I am. It's not going to happen. Not going into a nursing home.
Well, you know, just what I was leading into was just that, you know, try to be, what's the word? Walk a mile in their shoes. Cause I can only imagine for a lot of these elderly people who they don't want to be a burden on their children. And they see that these are the steps that are available, at least so it seems. And so they will accept going to these hospice care and nursing homes and everything like that. And for however long they're there, I can only imagine all they want to do is like see their kids or be with their family, and it's jail. You're going to like a softcore jail. That's basically what it is. And I say softcore actually kind of with because look at the elderly abuse, all the scandals that have happened in all these places. And like I was saying, you're getting people in the they've already this isn't the premium job that someone goes to any kind of doctorate school or school for medical school for. They, I don't think a lot of people get certified to do hospice care. You don't have to go past like these grueling exams and go to 8-12-year colleges with masters and things like that to work in hospice. You have to get certified. That's pretty much what you need to do. So yeah, you're not getting the cream of the crop. You're not getting this. It's very similar to like low level nursing, like entry level nursing, and the TikTok nurses. That the scandal from like 2020. You have people die. Supposedly the hospitals are full of dying and dead people, and meanwhile down the halls you got nurses twerking. It's just like, oh, okay.
I was in the hospital. I had to go to the hospital, and
my daughter was born in 2020.
Yeah, dude, there was nobody in the emergency room. This was just outside of Atlanta. Been to this hospital, been to this emergency room many times. Okay, and it's so packed always. But yeah, on the news back then, right at that time on the news, it was overflow, overcrowding. There's no beds, this and that.
Absolutely.
So I had to go to the emergency room, and dude, there was nobody. It was the most vacant I've ever seen the place ever.
Austin was delivering Uber Eats or one of those things, and one of his most frequent deliveries would be the hospital near him, and he attests to the same thing. It's just absolutely ghost town.
It was unbelievable.
Same for me. So the day my daughter was going to be born, I wasn't able to stay in the hospital, and thank God I wasn't, because like mask on at all times. I'm talking, it's ridiculous, their rules, but. And so I'm showing up, but also I had to work, and I had my son I had to take care of, and our dog at the time. So I couldn't stay at the hospital, but the day was coming that she was going into labor. And so I motored down there. I had to drop off my kiddo, motor down there. And I worked at this hospital for 2 years. Worked in the kitchens. And the dish as a dishwasher and tray line and this hospital. And I also did carts. So I would deliver to every single floor. I knew that hospital inside and out. And I tried to go through the emergency room. And because it was the easiest, I knew the way to the maternity center. And I knew through the emergency room, I could get right there. It's literally right there. Right there. I go one floor up, elevator or stairs, and I'm there. Boom. My daughter's about to be born. I get stopped by a security police person. And he's saying, nope, you can't go through there. And I'm talking about the emergency room was closed. That doesn't even make sense. It's not like a doctor stopped me. A policeman, there was no doctors in sight. There was no like person accepting anybody. They just closed the emergency room. The what kind of room is it? The emergency room was closed. Of any rooms you close, that's probably the one you keep open during a fucking emergency. But anyway,
makes sense.
But he wouldn't even let me go through. And so I had to go all the way around the campus, and I got there just in time. But yeah, that was my anecdote too, having to go through that. And then, of course, I stayed there for the next half a day or whatever until we left, and just miserable. We got our baby right there, and we just got to sit there with our mask on, which is a subconscious, training for kids. Baby's the first thing they see. Think about how fucking crazy that is and how dystopian that is. They're just coming in like we're wearing gas masks, and that will be the reality at some point too. that will be the reality at some point too, I believe.
I think very quickly
manipulate our air.
I think very quickly, natural birth, like a woman actually giving birth naturally, is going to be kind of I think people are going to start doing that outside the body now, like pretty soon. I'd say more sooner than probably imaginable. I think that it'll be because they can do that. The in vitro, or not in vitro necessarily. That's like kind of like still with the woman. Basically test tube, babies. I mean, they grow pieces of humans and organs. What are they? Have you seen how they have brain tissue in a petri dish that basically they say it doesn't have consciousness. Have you seen this?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, here, check this out. Look this up. It's brain tissue. I can't remember if they grew it completely, like from just like kind of doing their little genetic like ingredients, and they grow this brain tissue, and it's aware, like they have it perform tasks, like they kind of interface with it through a computer. They have it hooked up, and it does.
How would I search this brain tissue like say experiments?
Yeah, let's say do this. Is laboratory brain tissue conscious? Because that's the big debate. That's kind of the thing that's people are getting hung up about, is the scientists say that it is not conscious.
Oh, I see what you're saying. That like take it like petri dish.
Yeah,
brain
it's
tissue.
Performing tasks. Like I want to say they have it playing Pong or something. And that's what it does. It's a brain. It plays this game, and that's its world. You got, this is where you really start getting philosophical, or having to start looking at things like what is life and what is conscious. You know what I'm saying? It gets kind of
like the man in the cave kind of thing. It's just like when you're subject to, from birth to a specific thing, you're not going to know anything else. You're not just going to all of a sudden say, oh, is the sky possible? If you've never seen it, you wouldn't just come up with that idea.
Or like the worst thing for these brain tissues that are in organoids is what they're calling them, man. Yeah. So like it is the worst thing for these little brain tissues, where do they know that they're just sitting in a petri dish in a lab? Are they aware of that? Because that would be, in my opinion, a horrible existence.
The year was 2078. The organoids, they came fast. They came quick. There was no stopping them.
It's weird, dude. Think about how crazy this is, man. This is weird as hell.
Fucking organoids. It's just like, what kind of fucking Stargate name is that? Right. Organoids. I gotta know.
Yeah, who named it organoid? Oh, dude, let's see it.
Yeah, that's interesting too. Like who would have named it, or just what's an organoid is? 83 is rough.
7.
Organoid. Now, what is the terminology for an organoid? Okay, it just means a cross section of the brain, basically, or a built cross section.
Chimeras and all these like experiments that they do or allegedly don't do or do whatever, like Dolce base. It's a military base, Dolce DLULCE, and it's an underground. It goes down. I want to say it's like 12 levels down into the ground, and I can't remember what level after. Which I think it's after level 7 and down. It's like chimera, humanoid, hybrid experiments, Was
that where they playing off of that a little bit in Cabin in the Woods?
Yes.
Have you seen that movie?
I have, yes.
Yeah. Weren't they in a military base that was the whole point? It was a military experiment. Oh, it's in New Mexico. No wonder. Speaking of 47. Of course, it's, just right on the Apache reservation. I'm sure they don't mind. I'm sure no Apache Native Americans have gone missing in this area. That's probably fine.
And there's no energy reason that they would have preferred that location at all. It was just good real estate. It had a good rate. per acre. That's why they got there. But like, so, you know, when it comes to the brain tissue in the dish, and it's like, is it aware of what it is? Does it know it's in there? That's like kind of like a way different version of, have you ever seen the movie is it El Machina or El Machina?
El Machina? I've heard of it. Or is it? What is it?
You being a dad, you're a busy dude, I'm sure, right? And and the restaurant keeps you busy. But
Ex Machina, that's what you're thinking, right?
Yes, that one. Yes. So you should watch that, in my opinion. It's enjoyable. I thought. I saw it on YouTube. It was on free on YouTube. So
me and my girl just watched a movie. We rarely watch a movie, but we watched Mercy. Have you heard that one? It's like Chris Pratt. It's about the AI judge. Like everything went AI. It's brand new.
Is this hold on, I think I've heard about this. Is this kind of like the newer version of Minority Report?
Exactly. That's what I was saying the entire time. It is. And just knowing that, this movie's already spoiled. If you can you can understand like tropes and everything, this movie is exactly Minority Report almost to a T.
I'm glad you brought this up.
Pretty trash.
I'm glad it is.
It's not. I mean, it doesn't need to act that much because they blew the entire budget on visual effects. He's sitting in a chair. He's literally in a chair the entire movie almost.
Really?
It's just flashbacks through like cameras that you see things going on. It's just
Chris
cameras.
Pratt is like the three ladies, the bald-headed ladies in Matrix, basically.
No, Mercy. The AI is like that. Chris Pratt is the accused. He's Tom Cruise.
What numbers are those? Is that 90 and 975?
Yeah.
I wonder what that's
90 minutes. He's got an hour and a half, and he's 97 and a half guilty. There was definitely some interesting numbers. One of them that stood right off the bat. What was it? I mean, I was obviously looking at these things. I was telling my girl as we were watching it, but it was pretty funny because I don't want to spoil it for anyone. I don't really care either, but it was funny. Like the interactions he had with this Mercy judge. It was like she was very much so like, you are the weakest link. Goodbye. That's like her character. She was just like matter of fact, and you better come with like the exact terminology and everything at first. And by the end of it, it was all like there was like sexual tension between him and the judge. The AI judge, dude, I cannot make it up. I wasn't like explicit, but it was like, bro, what are you getting at? Like, why are you guys like flirting? It was funny.
That's a very interesting point that you bring that up. So basically you're saying Chris Pratt, is he human, right? Mm-hmm. In the movie? Mm-hmm. So he's human, and the AI judge and him wind up basically having a romantic tension between each other.
At the near the end, you wouldn't maybe call it romantic necessarily, but it was like, I don't want to give this part of it away, but I guess what he was trying to do was at the same time as prove his innocence, because that's the premise. I'm sure I can just give a synopsis of the movie without giving anything away. He is on trial for the murder of his wife, but he wakes up and he was in a drunken stupor and he doesn't remember what he did. So he has to kind of try to piece together and prove his own innocence within an hour and a half. And he has all of the AI's capabilities at his disposal to do so. So you have an hour and a half and you have every single, like you can go and tell cops to do things for you because
even though you're
as long as it's to prove your innocence and the judge will allow it, if you can give the judge like reasonable track to prove that you need something done from somebody, like they'll work on your behalf because they do like one trial at a time. This is not like a multi-court thing. This is like one place where they do the mercy trials. And it's like, it's dystopian as hell because like everything, I'm talking like the first 5 minutes of the movie, it's just everything they show you is from like an angle that's in like somebody's phone who's like just walking down the street. And he's like, stop it right there. And it's just like, they're not taking film of you. It's just everything's recording all the time. Mm-hmm. And they're able to access every single thing, no matter what it was. And it was a huge like shaming ritual for him. Like his wife was cheating on him with a black guy, and his daughter, he finds out his daughter has like a Instagram, and she's like an Instagram hoe. And she's just like and he didn't know that until he got on trial and he needed to look into these things to try to prove his innocence. It was just like, oh man, that's rough, buddy.
Well, so they're trying to push a narrative with, or they're trying to, I guess it would be desensitize, I guess, people with being more comfortable with a human and an AI, like romantically or sexual tension wise, because that's a big element of the, how'd you say ex machina?
Ex machina.
Machina.
I can't remember if I've seen this or not. I almost want to say that I have. I've seen a lot of movies like this one though.
Yeah, that's the whole big deal about this movie right here. And it's because the human and the AI and its romantic relation, not like they don't like actually hook up or anything like that, but I'm saying there's romantic tension, right? And energy, and it's I won't say anything about the end of that either, because it's good, dude. It's good. It's really things you don't expect in that movie happen. And then the points that are made are very, interesting, especially since you're talking about mercy and basically having the same, or not the same thing, but the romantic tension with a human and an AI, common thread is happening there.
Yeah, it was actually, it wasn't meant to be a funny movie, Mercy, at all, but it was funny to watch. Just like, not to mention, it's like, that you might not know this about me, but like movies don't matter. Like I know the villain in the movie within the first 10 minutes. And I try to ruin movies for people because like, just because I think it needs to be ruined for me or like, I want people to join me in it. It kind of is that, but it's just like, I can't unsee it. It's not fair that I just have to go through life knowing what everyone should know. Nobody came up and told me what it is. I found out about it, and then I can't ever let it go. It is what's called like literary prose. It has to do with like Shakespearean script writing or like playwriting. That every movie plays by the same exact, I guess maybe not every single movie, but just about every single movie plays the exact like step by step with all the foreshadowing. And once you know it, it's just movies are pointless. I knew the bad guy in Mercy right away, right away from the dumbest thing. Like it was the dumbest thing. I was just like, oh, that's him. He's the guy. And it was just so dumb. I mean, it might've been a girl. Oh, I'm sorry if I spoiled, but anyway.
How did you become so versed with like literary prose and
I just know about Shakespearean, how they write, and foreshadowing is key. Foreshadowing it just like in, it was honestly just high school level shit. Just, Romeo and Juliet and Macbeth, all these things, they have foreshadowing built into it that they always do. And once you know where the foreshadowing it is, and you know that almost every movie, especially movies that they want you to think is a twist movie, they tell you the answer within the first 10 minutes of the movie. And then the twist is that they told you the answer already. But that's not, it plays like that in a movie, especially when there's action or drama or some sort of like thing that they just distract you for an hour. And then by the end of it, you're like, oh, it was that. But
dude, that being like your thing, you're really good at being able to figure out movies. You'll love that movie Ex Machina, because I had to get back with you on it, because when you watch this, I want to know if you're able to figure it out, because I think it's probably pretty good. But since this is your niche, you might be able to figure it out, the twists before they happen. I'm sure. But I think this one, if you like a challenge, is if you're good at figuring out like the villains and figuring out the twist beforehand, and you like a challenge, you'll love this movie.
But you're absolutely right about the influx of cyborg-esque or machine human intermingling movies. I mean, whether that be like even like cloning to an extent too, because wasn't that the movie like The Island or whatever? Was it like Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson? Wasn't that about like cloning? Was it The Island? Funny enough, The Island, right?
From 2005?
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever seen it.
I believe I might have given away the ending. Maybe that was the twist about this movie.
So it's
I can't remember.
Cloning.
I don't even know if I ever saw it. I just remember it when it came out.
That's good that you said that, because look how generic the name is, The Island. How would I know it's about, if it's about cloning, I'd be interested in it. But just The Island?
I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay.
And then there's we mentioned Tom Cruise, that he was just in another movie we randomly watched, because that's kind of what we do. What happens is we notice that very rarely we're like, let's sit and watch a movie, and
right,
we'll sit there and it's just an hour later where you're still scrolling through because it's trash. Everything's trash, and we're trying to look for something that doesn't exist. And so we're like, all right, screw it. Let's try to find something that actually kind of even looks goofy. Let's just watch that shit now and just like break it down, because otherwise we just never watch a movie.
It's all trash. And remember, I was just telling you last week that I had watched the previous week. I had watched a couple movies from the 70s. I think I watched Soylent Green and I watched Westworld. And, both of those are 70s movies, and that's part of the reason I was watching 70s movies, because
Oblivion.
It's a 70s movie as compared to where the movies today, a lot of them are not great. So. I don't watch movies a lot or anything.
It was another sci-fi dystopian. So many just do the same exact plot. It's just it gets so exhausting. But it wasn't like the worst.
Which one? This one?
The Oblivion, yeah, this movie. It was okay enough to watch. It's just I spoil the movie for every time I watch it with Kelly. She has to know what I know. And a lot of times I'm just throwing stuff out there. And at the end of it too, there'll be so many times where I'm sitting there and I want to just say like everything. I know it'll be like, I know it's already a pain to watch a movie with me, but I want to sit there and say, oh, they did that because of this, and watch, they're going to do that. And that's going to show up later. And whenever I don't say that and it happens at the end, I was just like, man, you have no idea. 20 minutes ago, I was going to tell you that exact thing was going to happen, but I don't do it. I don't do everything. But it's just movies are so predictable and annoying.
I struggle with that as well. As far as like, if I know, I want other people to know too. You know what I mean? And it doesn't matter if it's about a movie or if it's about, other situations in life. But if I know, I want other people to know about it too. Jack Harper. Can you look up on the calculator, Jack Harper? That's his character's name. It just sounds like it's got numbers that are ridiculous. All right, he's got 46. Isn't that Catholic?
Yeah.
Which he's into the Scientology, though.
Yeah, he is. Oblivion's also got the 46, so.
Yeah.
No surprise. So yeah, not that I'm recommending any of these movies, but if you end up watching them, it's just kind of quick movies. But it is, I will say, it's entertaining, the back and forth near the end of it, because what it does is it really annoys you. Just like the first 45 minutes of the movie, it's just like they make the Mercy judge like the bad guy. They make, she's too strict. She doesn't, Here's the thing, too. He set up the system. He works for Mercy Court. He's been the guy he's a cop. He's been arresting everybody and sending them to Mercy Court, which has a 100% conviction rate. It's like never wrong because it's AI. And so now he's facing it. And so anyway.
Well, so isn't that similar with Tom Cruise in Minority Report?
Yes, 100%. He was a cop sending people. He didn't know he was sending them to like oracles, and that they were predicting every, and that they could manipulate the oracles in order to get different results. But yeah, he was just a fucking a drone in a system set to stop people from doing things before they ever did it, which is like insane. How, like, imagine you're being arrested. It's just like, yeah, it's like, maybe I could have done that, but I don't know if I was going to do that. Like, how do you know I was going to do it? But that's like the world you got to live in. That shit's crazy.
Well, I mean, and it's coming though. And I think that this is more futuristic. Yeah. Flock cameras, dude. I've seen, it's not happening, at least where I live, I don't think, but I saw somewhere, one of these communities, a guy got a speeding ticket, and it was mailed to him, and it was from a flock camera. I guess he was speeding as he passed the flock camera. It obviously knows, it's basically, they call it vehicle fingerprinting. And so it just sent right to his house, his speeding ticket. No cop actually had to pull him over and do that whole process. So yeah, very quickly, speeding tickets, like getting pulled over on the side of the road, it's just not going to be a thing. You'll get a speeding ticket in the mail,
and
it'll be point system. You get deducted on points. So you get a speeding ticket. I bet, say you get another speeding ticket, or maybe 3, you lose your license. You know what I'm saying?
And you know what one of the main points of Mercy was about? Was this cop lost his partner because they went up on the side of the road. One of the main reasons for Mercy being passed through the Supreme Court and everything to become the new judge, jury, and executioner was because cops were dying, because so many cops were being killed. Like, think of that in our day and age. Like, they push that all the time. The safety of the police officers, right. All the body cam stuff going on right now. Like, those are all to. Mm-hmm. It's just like, think about how when everybody wanted body cams initially, it was for everyone's own safety, especially Black Lives Matter. And then now it's like there's dedicated, like,
on YouTube.
Exactly. There's more dedicated genres on YouTube showing that the cops are generally acting more, within their in the humanity than the people they're pulling over. It's like you can. And I'm not saying these are all narratives that are being pushed, and there's players on both sides doing it 100%, especially Masonic Brotherhood cops. Of course they are, but that's kind of like the pendulum thing. It's just like, oh, cops are just out there killing people, and then okay, make them mandatory body cams. And then they have mandatory body cams, and you're seeing all these people pull weapons and act crazy and just not listen to simple instructions when. And I'm not saying I agree with needing simple instructions. I don't agree with cops. I don't agree with the structure of authority that we have. There should be some sort of authority, 100%, but not what it is right now. Not this. I'll tell you another story. When I was working at AutoZone, I was a delivery driver for AutoZone, a commercial driver, and I went to go deliver in it was the oldest truck of our entire fleet, this Ford Ranger 2-wheel drive. And I went to go pull out of our parking lot, and there was a car coming. And so I pumped the gas just a little bit to just not to just pull out like a slow bro, and, just to be courteous and get on the road.
The situation.
But as I did that, my back tire got caught on the curb, and like it didn't. And so I had no turning. And so I just like turned right into a tree. I just like 10 feet out of the parking lot, I just like smashed into a tree and totaled the truck. Long story short, I'm sitting there. I go and they make me go take a test right away. They all, dude, what's crazy is I was smoking weed back then, but I stopped for like 2 months for absolutely no reason. This is like some crap, because I just randomly stopped. I had no reason to stop. The guy I lived with, he was a major stoner who wanted me to smoke with him every day. I just randomly stopped, and all of a sudden I crashed the truck, and I go and I piss absolutely clean. I'm just like, okay.
Ooh, baby.
So, but regardless of that, there was something going. A cop walks into AutoZone, and he's all like, do you know about the truck out? Because our truck we pushed it into the parking lot, and he drove by and saw the Ranger, smashed up. And he's all like, you know about that? And I'm like, yeah. He didn't ask me. I was on my lunch. I was sitting in the back. And he goes up to my manager, asks about the truck, and he's all like, Logan, come back here. And so I go out there and I'm on my lunch and I'm like, what's up? And the cop's trying to talk to me and he's just like way overstepping. And I was like taken aback. So I was kind of like smirking about it. And granted, we had because he like took my manager's time, who was like doing all the cashing out, we just had a line of people waiting to get whatever their crappy seafoam or whatever they were getting. And so I go out there and I'm just like, what's up? And he's just like, you know about that truck out there? I was like, yeah. And I was like, my manager told him about what happened. I didn't really understand. I was like, what's criminal about this? There's nothing criminal. And so he asked me to see my ID and I'm like, why? What's up? And he's like, just give me your ID. And I'm just like, yo, what is going on? Why? And so anyway, I pull out my ID, my license, I give him my license, and he arrests me like right there on the spot. And the way he does, he like goes over the counter. I was behind the counter where we cash out people, and he grabs me by the collar and pulls me all the way around the counter and yanks me out right in front of the store full of people and all my co-workers, and I have no idea what's going on. Throws me in the back of the truck or frisks me first, and I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what you're getting at here. And he hadn't even told me why. And then he says, because you, for a hit and run, you smashed into a car and almost hit somebody up on this street down the road or whatever. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about. I was like, well, that truck matches the description, and there it is, broken up right there. I'm just like, okay, this is a big misunderstanding. And he would not listen to me at all. Like, I was just instantly guilty. And he put me in the back of the truck. And dude, I was in the back of that truck for so long. Dude, it was crazy. We didn't have a Polaroid in the truck. And so when I got out of the truck, I took pictures of the truck. Because they asked me to go. I went back inside and I was like, yeah, I had to do my walk of shame. But then he was like, there's no Polaroid. Can you go take pictures of it? So we have it on file. I go out there and take pictures of it. So I had timestamp pictures of it. And so I was finally dude, he went inside, and what he was doing, like thankfully my manager cared enough about me to actually follow up on it and explain to him that this is impossible, that it was me. But he called corporate and tried to get security camera footage, because one of our cameras would have shown outside. I mean, we had windows all the way around the building, and I crashed just right in front of the windows. And so he's trying to get corporate to get the camera footage. Lo and behold, you find out that these cameras are not even like accessible like that. They're just like basically just for show. They're almost just for show. Like, it was this whole big deal just to even get proof of what happened. Anyway, so either way, it took like 45 minutes before he ever came back out. He was in there talking to my manager. He comes back out, he opens the door, and he finally lets me talk, because I think he's starting to realize that, like, okay, why would all these people stand up for this guy if he literally was just hitting and running? And I'm like, and I tell him, like, officer, on my phone, like, I'm handcuffed in the back. I'm like, on my phone, maybe the timestamps of when I took the picture will not work with whatever time. He didn't even tell me the details of what I supposedly did. And so now he's all like, okay. And so he lets me get my phone, and I show him the pictures, and then he starts talking kind of nice to me. And I'm like, oh, okay. So, I mean, I already knew I couldn't have been the one, but like, I think he started to believe I wasn't the one. Corporate finally got pictures, which he wasn't able to see them. It's like we had to call like a call center for AutoZone's UTT for their TV, CCTVs. It's not even like local. It's not in our own building that we take the video of it. It's digital. And so, and I'm talking about, it was annoying because there was a fat bitch on break, and she wouldn't like stop her break to come and check this when this guy's threatening me to take me to jail for something I didn't do. And so we had to wait a grip to get her to finally be like, okay. And she was a bitch about it. And
she's like, I'm on my time, man.
But seriously. And so finally he realizes it wasn't me, and he lets me out and everything. But dude, it was like that shit. I can understand, like, it's definitely, that's not what we need. That is not what we need. We need, and Zach talks about frontier justice too. Obviously, that should always be implied with any major thing you're doing to someone. If you're willing to like bring a bat to a fight, it's just like you're basically saying you're willing to kill somebody. It's like, shoot that dude. Right. If that guy's coming at you, shoot that dude. If you have the ability to, that's just kind of how it works. Like there's no saying that guy with the bat, oh, I was just gonna hit your foot. No, you made that decision, dude. There's certain things that, but I don't think the overreaching, always right, you're always wrong. That's kind of the pendulum. You have both sides of it. The citizenry is right, and which, by the way, cops should not be citizens. The fact that they put themselves higher than the citizenry, that's your number one problem right there. Mm-hmm. They should. That's why you'll have people, and just the system they have it in too, because it's like you'll have cops who grew up in like another part of the state or another state entirely policing your state. It's just like they're going to be fine cordoning off blocks and pushing martial law and stuff. They're going to be fine doing that. It's not their family.
I mean, well, it gets kind of freaky, dude, as far as that goes. I was watching a video the other day, okay? And it was a guy, he was walking, I don't know what town he was in. It was a more metropolitan area. And he was showing on the corner of this street, the street corner. Most people, for instance, we were talking about flock cameras, especially people like baby boomers or even older Gen X's. A lot of them they can't even recognize that that's a flock camera. Like, do you know what a flock camera looks like? You're
talking about just either the ones that are kind of hidden up by the light or the ones that are on the side poles?
Basically, most of the time they're black and it just has like a solar panel and it'll have a, kind of little.
In Oregon, they have them like, there's some tiny ones right by the light as well too. But they actually took those away. A lot of the ones that were in Portland, they got voted out.
Right. Oh, people are like cutting them down. People are destroying them. I saw another video. This guy literally says, don't do this. And he goes through all these different ways of how you can like incapacitate those things. I guess if you shine like blue or green, heavy duty blue or green lasers into them, it destroys them. It messes up their sensors and stuff. There's all different things, wasp spray on it. And just,
I got caught by one of those things, and it was like perfect timing because
you got a speeding ticket from it.
Yeah. And I hadn't paid it yet. And it dropped. I don't know if I was going to pay it or not, but they dropped it.
Wow. Okay, good.
And then shortly after that, it might've been before that, maybe they dropped it. And that's why my ticket got dropped as well, because like they were just disabling the whole program. Anyone that was even owed a ticket didn't have to pay it at that point because they were disabling that program. But yeah, they still have all the infrastructure up for them on like a few of the roads that were there. And I was going like 10 miles over the speed limit, and I was just jamming out, and I was like, fuck, I forgot that it was an area I don't normally drive. And then I just got flashed. I was like, fuck. And I got it in the mail.
Big town. Like the town I live in is pretty small. And yeah, I think we have at least like 7 around here. But well, and like I said, like I would say there's a lot of geriatric population, a higher percentage of geriatric population where I live as well. And so that being my point, a lot of them, there's been kind of non-official social studies, if you will, where, like I was saying, like older Gen X, baby boomers, you have to point out what those flock cameras are. They're just driving by them and they don't even think anything of it. They don't realize what they are, is what my point. And so that same kind of, concept, there's a guy, I saw a video, and he's at the street corner, and he was showing, instead of a flock camera, because like we know what those look like, it looked more kind of like utility pole. It's on the utility pole. It's connected onto it. This dude apparently did some sort of electrician. He was basically an electrician in the military. And so he knows what this is. and he's pointing out, he didn't say specifics, but he was pointing out just on every ordinary utility pole on a street corner in this one town that he was in, and he looked up and noticed, and he knows what that is, and he was putting it on camera and he was showing it. It's like all these black cables coming out of it, but it kind of just looks like an attachment that would be on a utility pole to the layman, to the regular person. I get it. He's specialized military electrician, so he knows what this is. And he was saying that is a military weapon. Think the technology that they just used in Venezuela. Apparently, allegedly, they used an energy weapon that kind of like incapacitated and knocked out electronics, but also people. It incapacitated people, and it was with frequency. And he was pointing out that is what's on this street corner, and it looked like a decent sized city, you know, I don't know specifically what city he was in, but there was one there. They have those all over in big cities. And he's saying that is a frequency weapon. Basically, he didn't say that without saying that, if you get what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, it kind of reminds me of another Tom Cruise movie, War of the Worlds, you know, where, you know, the aliens were able to, for all intents and purposes, EMP all the vehicles. Well, it's just like everybody, you know, 90+% of vehicles nowadays are functioning off of, you know, digital interfaces. You know, they have motherboards, they're a computer, or they run off of a computer. And if, you know, you can just target that computer and you're talking to that computer and things are bouncing off of that computer, you can disable it, you know, easily. And best believe that's what OnStar can be your worst nightmare. If you know, if they say that overreaching cop were to suspect your car and you have like an OnStar system, and OnStar might be outdated now, maybe it's probably something newer now, but like say you have a system in your car like that, just like Teslas and all these newer cars, they'll just shut your fucking car off. You're unsubscribed to your car, bitch. So it's just like same deal. Like OBD2 and OBD1, like they all run on sensors, and you can read them. They hook up and you can read them. Why can't there be a transmitter? They're guaranteed probably is.
Yeah.
Just like low jacking, like companies low jack almost not, you know, their fleets, almost all major fleets are low jacked. So they're tracking all of those. I'm sure those are bouncing off of things. And if you watch Mercy, it's just like half of that shit was all like they were able to coordinate places because of like everybody else bouncing off of everybody else's cell phones and cars and stuff.
You remember how I think it was last week I was talking about, or might have been the week before, I was talking about the scamdemic and the next one to come. And I don't think that they're going to be as quote unquote nice, you know. You remember
they already gave us like the lowdown. Now you know, we need to get in line quicker this time type of deal.
Well, you were talking about martial law. And so when I'm talking about that utility pole and there's that guy, he's videotaping it, showing that, and he's saying that is a military weapon, like a frequency weapon. You know, and you were talking about martial law a minute ago, and that's what that makes me think of. So, you know, remember all like the rioting that was going on, or even protesting, whatever, all that, that was allowed to kind of go down last time. And this is one of the elements that I, you know, especially seeing videos with these military weapons on utility poles, on street corners in larger cities. This is what I mean when I say that I don't think they're going to be as nice next time. So this rioting tries to go happen again, this next demic that they have come on, or rioting or protesting whatsoever. They already have all these frequency weapons staged on the major street corners. They'll be able to incapacitate any kind of like revolution, you know. You see what I'm saying? And then your point about the sensors in the cars, so you're not going to be able to drive and the vehicles to do anything as well. Your vehicle's going to be shut down, and I think biologically, physically, people will be like incapacitated if you're wanting to go run around and be a part of the revolution or part of the riot. Either one, they'll just be able to sound wave your ass.
Sure that negative vibrations, and I don't mean negative as in like sad or something, but like like negative frequencies that can affect your mental or your
I mean, they literally have
physical
destructive frequencies where they can set off heart attacks, where people start bleeding from their orifices, you know what I mean?
A lot of people have rejects not heart monitors. What's the other thing?
Pacemaker?
Pacemakers. Yeah, pacemakers can fuck up big time because those are frequency based. It's crazy. Pacemakers are crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they're only more technologically advanced nowadays, but yeah,
on
those
Wednesdays, I play cards on Wednesdays, poker with some of these older dudes in the neighborhood I live in, and they're right down the road. So it's like we play poker, and one of the guys that plays is my neighbor right across the street. Dude, he's got all sorts of stuff in his body. He's showing me he broke his back. He's got all these screws and titanium plates in his back, whatever. But also his heart. He's had, I think he said he's had like 2 heart attacks or 3 heart attacks. But like you were talking about the pacemaker and all that stuff, dude, he has like when we were playing last week, his phone alert went off, and it was like, oh, and like basically every once in a while he has to take this like certain contraption, and it's got a magnet in it, and he has to hold it up to reset the thing.
Yeah,
whatever.
Absolutely.
But his phone was sending him an alert telling him that he needs to do the magnet thing. So he's like, oh, when I get home,
to the future.
take my magnet, and he was explaining what he has to go do when he gets home. And dude, I was just like, what? This is crazy. It's almost like I'm talking with a robot. You know what I mean?
Cyborg action going on.
Yeah, I gotta go put the magnet on my heart so we can blah blah blah. Like, whoa, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And just talking about these kinds of things, all these topics are so dystopian. And I've always thought that, I would do so well back in any different era. Like I'd have been fucking cooking. Like I'm sure I wouldn't be on the losing end. That's not to say that 100% that's how it would have worked out, but I just feel that way. And you look at how it is nowadays, it's just like, man, there's just the potential or the chance to raise your kids outside of these insane systems, these sophisticated systems. It's like there's always been systems, sure, but it's like there's zero chance now. And you'll have your neighbor turn you in with no incentive. Your neighbor will turn you in with no incentive just because you're different, just because you want to do something different, just because your kid is different. The lengths people will go to support the machination that is this fucking world government is mind-boggling. And you look at, what everybody likes to light fireworks and celebrate. To me, I'm sitting there thinking it's just like they signed all your rights away right in front of your faces back in the day, and they made you lofty promises, and everybody in that time went with it. Well, who were these people before? Who was George Washington before? Just like, I'm sure, yeah, he was just a nobody. For Thomas Jefferson was just a nobody. No, these were the elite. These people were, one step away from the British ranks, basically. And if you don't understand that this was insurgents, America was formed in order to conquer a specific region that had already been inhabited, that the French, Spain were already here. They'll say, all the Native Americans, all this and that and the third. Fact is, this country had structure, infrastructure, all sorts of things built into it. There's 100% a reason why people wanted America, because of what was here. And it's not like in other countries it wasn't that way. It 100% was. But there was a place that wasn't fully grasped yet, or at least I think it had been at least somewhat. I'm trying not to go too far into like the oddities about America.
Like, think about it literally in square acreage. All right. So 2 of the biggest countries, let's go back before United States. Let's go back 300 years. Russia, or, whatever name it's going by, that empire, big, large land region. China, same thing. The ruling part of China, or whatever they were called, emperors, whatever, that regime, huge landmass like that they control. Well, like a lot of our states are the size of countries in Europe. Countries in Europe are like the size of like Kansas, or Kansas is bigger than X amount of countries in the European Union. There's very small land masses. It's obvious to me that this was that elite ruling class in the European, who we're talking about. We're talking about the Jesuits. We're talking about all of them.
Mm-hmm.
This is a way for them to come over here to able to get the large landmass that they literally just don't have geographically in Europe. They can keep that, come over here and take this huge, big portion of actual physical land, you know what I'm saying, to where you're getting closer to matching how big Russia is geographically or China is geographically. Now you have the West supported with a big geographic landmass. That's what makes sense to me, at least.
Let's see. I look up acres for the United Kingdom. It just says it right away. I look up United States. It just square miles. That's what you get.
Right.
94,354 square miles. 3,796,743 square miles.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah.
It's a drop in the bucket compared. And they're at the same time they control India, they control parts of China, they control. This is an island.
Mm-hmm.
This is an island with some cool castles and cobblestone roads. This is the rulers of the known world for much of our history. It tells us. Of course, you throw Spain in there, and these are all jostling for position. Spain, France, Germany, or the Ottoman Empire, and the Prussian Indo-European countries. And you had the stands, or I guess stands are most of the stands are actually new countries, but like you were saying, you had the division of Asia was a lot different back in the day. Now you have, China is much bigger empire. They expanded. Look at the Huns. The Huns really, that Attila boy, he was able to just go out there and get it, wasn't he? Napoleon, he just went out there and got it, didn't he? Man, that boy was on it. You just look at these like figures they give us, and then go ahead and look at George Washington. It's just look at the founding fathers. These are people, they prescribe to this larger narrative that you're just supposed to buy into, and you're supposed to understand. And like you mentioned, of course, the Jesuits were there for all of it, and you can look into the main historical facts. Not saying they are facts, but historical facts, all one quotation, and their mentions of the Jesuits, and they're coming out of suppression. And you talk about the Jesuit suppression and how they were saved by Catherine the Great of Russia, and they're in every single major country. You look at the Jesuits and their foothold with the poppy production in India and China, and you look at the main what is it? The main, arbiter of why that was it was the East India Trading Company, or the British Empire. They were at least in the history books, pretty much the main reason for the rise of opiates in China, in big parts of China and India, and their subsequent control of those lands because of the mass disarray that those drugs tend to do to environments. What does that sound like? What is like an opioid epidemic and like a takeover? Or and it's not a hostile takeover. They didn't go in there with an army and destroy India and destroy China. No, it's money, it's trade. It's definitely worth looking into if you haven't looked into the East India Trading Company and their opiate. But basically they traded opiates for fine spices and things of that nature, dyes and things of that nature. I talked about this so early on the path. It might have been like one of the first 10 episodes, but I mentioned that a lot of people don't realize that in this world, it's still run basically the same way they were doing it on galleons. Like, it's the same thing. It's like, yeah, they're shipping freighters, and yeah, they're shipping all this like pointless Chinese plastic toys everywhere, filling up entire boats just to ship. It's an insane world that we live in. But the ruling class, they want that fucking dye that is like extremely hard to get and that like only small regions produce. They want that shit. And they, like, if you think about the Phoenicians in the history books, they were spice and dye. Like, spice and dye were their two main part of the industry. And the ancient Phoenicians, whether you think of them as like a race or, you know, a lot of times they're considered a seafaring people. Like, it was multiple people, and they're conflated, or maybe not conflated, with Atlantis and things of that nature. And I know I'm going a bit far back, but these are all offshoot. Like, the East India Trading Company is an offshoot of what that was. These trading companies, whether they were clandestine or they were definitely clandestine, but whether or not they were evil, that's up for debate. But what's not up for debate is realizing that the Columbia Fur Trading Company and the East India Trading Company, these are definitely ran by money grubbing, world dominating people. And that's because everywhere they went, that's what they left. You know, what they left behind, the proof is in the pudding. And all that to say that this is a small island that is a, you know, don't ever forget that it's a sister city to the Vatican inside the banking district of London, along with Washington, D.C. These are three sister cities to the Vatican. And is the United States a Catholic country? Is even Great Britain a Catholic country? Maybe at one time it was more primarily. It might even be a Catholic. Let's look at the primary religion of Great Britain. But my point behind, like, why is Washington, D.C. a sister city to the Vatican? Why is the place our nation doles out all the rules and laws a sister city, a sovereign state that's not part of America, with the banking district of London and the Vatican, which is a giant bank as well? Primary religion. I guess you just say United Kingdom nowadays. I don't even know how that works. I did not keep up with like geography and stuff, but I guess England. I should say just England, right?
Try that, yeah.
I guess be Great Britain too. Christianity. And you know, even you think about like what's the big homie? I was just joking, but the Protestants, you know, that was a big deal in you know, subverting the Jesuits and the Catholic influence back in the day. So
this is the UK. This is their
see. This is what they're doing. They're conflating.
No religion.
See, there's no way that Catholicism's not on this. They're conflating Christianity with Catholicism. That's what I was worried about.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's saying it's not. But
I can't remember what exactly Zach was talking in one of his videos about. He was reading off of something where the person was. It's like kind of a. It's not a recent writing that he was reading from. The person he was reading from, and they were talking about the Jesuits, and basically, I can't remember verbatim, but basically the point the person was making is how the Jesuits, and basically one of their tactics is to use like basically scapegoating, to have some other group be identified as the cause or the reason for and why the Jesuits just hang back in the shadows, you know. So that's why the big you know, the ooze, if you know what I'm talking about, the small hat,
you can say that.
They take a lot of the heat and like the public, you know, especially recently, they take a lot of the public heat while the Jesuits hang back. And like we've talked about multiple times, a lot of people don't even know what a Jesuit is, right?
I chalk up to the Jewish anomaly, which is what it is because it's like, I guess there are lots of people that have it's just weird that you have a subsect of a race. You know, they're not white. So it's weird that you separate them out, or at least a large body of the primary Jewish people are white. I'm not saying there aren't other. That's the weird thing. It's like it's a race and a religion.
Oh,
so
weird.
it's definitely weird. But like, I chalk that group up, the people that claim to be Jewish, whatever it is, through heritage or whatever it is. We want to talk about inheritors. Like that to me screams inheritors from their origins, even before not even the top hats. I'm talking about even before the top hats. It's a long discussion, but they're, gypsies. And then you want to talk about like Ashkenazi Jews who have their like, pretty modern. It's not a modern history, but the people who claim it now are like not the same people that were considered the Jews in that region before. And it's all so muddled. And I think it is muddled by design.
Well, it's infiltration. The Ashkenazis infiltrate the Jewish religion. Catholicism infiltrates Christianity. Politically, these political systems are infiltrated, through lower, elections and just basically placing these people strategically for political roles, puppets.
And you just look at the controlling bodies at all points. I mean, let's get back to, the start of this nation, or the supposed start of this nation. Jesuits were here all along the way. If you want to look at the major events in America, they were all influenced by Jesuits. You'd have the many founding fathers going on record saying that there was subversion going in for the Revolutionary War well before, like talking about the war not even particularly having to be fought if it weren't for the riling up of Jesuits in the Confederates and the Union's parties and blah, blah, blah. You look at Albert Pike, who's commingling with, high degrees of masonry, a 33rd degree Mason. So he passed the Jesuit rites for his particular chapter, and, writing of books about, 3 world wars and things of that nature. Meanwhile, that's a general in one side of the army whereas you have George Washington, who's just like noble and strong Freemason, and you have Thomas Paine, major Freemason. You have, can't remember if Hancock was an open Mason. That's something to detail and list. But Thomas Jefferson, it's just there's all these ulterior motives for the startup of a nation or a country. And what I look at it, the beginning of this country is more consolidation. It's just you come over here and you consolidate what's here, and that's why you have such a quick influx of authority and rule and law. Whereas you would think a people that break free from a nation and they have like where are you getting the funds? Like if you go back, if you look into it, like what was the Louisiana Purchase? Like the bullshit. Why would they sell it to you? What is it? Is it on uranium? Is it like what? Why would they just give it back for nothing? Why? And of course, Louisiana Purchase being the whole like a whole sliver of the Midwest of America, the middle of the country. All these explanations, just like where we get the money. Where did all the tycoons that took up in the northern states, where'd they all get the money? Are these people just, were they fleeing? So is this what we're seeing nowadays? The high taxation in America and all the billionaires leaving? Is this potentially a reboot of, what was going on in England, and we're set to colonize another way through infiltration rather than, you'll have all these people, and, you go and start up a country and you want to get your town or your former colony into township, and you just happen to know that there's a wealthy plantation owner who, are backed by the Jesuits, which people need to look into. Almost every major plantation in America was founded and maintained by Jesuits. And, look at where they had all the black people working. It's not a coincidence. Funny you didn't see a lot of Black Lives Matter protests at these Jesuit colleges that are allowed to stay, unscathed through religious rights. That's interesting. What didn't seem very religious of them, enslaving people. I don't remember, I remember Christianity being, supposedly opposed to that. It's like, yeah, they talked about it as a, I guess, a fact of life, depending on what area you're living in, but it was opposed. It was, diametrically opposed to slavery, yet here we are, and you have a religious institution enslaving people on your land, and those are the people who are giving out, they're the people who are backing the money to potentially people with good intentions, but now they're under the thumb of people with bad intentions who are, usurping. And what happened, absolute power corrupts absolutely. People who people who were made the mayor in early U.S. states and colonies and cities and shit, there's no way you're acting appropriate. There's no way you're acting in the best interest of the fucking mongrels running around everywhere, not knowing what the fuck to do. You're going to instantly take to that power, and you're going to want your family to take into that power. And it's just human nature to almost always take the easiest route, the easiest route for you and your family. If those opportunities don't fall in everybody's lap, that. And so you're going to jump at the opportunity to become a baron for the elites. And it's just spread like wildfire. And that's how they Meriwether Lewis and Clark, they just traveled from the east of the country all the way to the west, and they documented everything. And then who was it, Lewis or Clark? One of them just gets, he just shoots himself in the back of the head outside of a hotel one day, and that's that. GG's. Oh well, there's just so much weird shit that goes on in the history of this country, and especially with, you want to talk about weird shit. Zach documents this, every time he brings it up, but this is worth mentioning because there's a little bit more to it. I'm sure Zach's gone into it heavily. I don't know if I've caught that stream, but a lot of people will sit on this little fun fact about the first three of the first 5 U.S. presidents all dying on the 4th of July. And, without it just, okay, it's like that already is like, damn, that's crazy. But then you look at the fact that John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, they both die on the same day. They both die on the same day, the same 4th of July, 50 years after the signing of the Declaration, the 50-year anniversary, which I'm sure these centennials and half.
That's crazy. That was 200 years on the nose.
Oh, good point.
Interesting.
And so, yeah, they die on the same day within hours of each other. And then, of course, they die in 1826, and 1826 days later, the 5th president of the United States, James Monroe, dies on 4th of July as well. And, there's more to it. But first of all, it is 1,826 days. Here, let's bring this up just so people can see it as well. I guess I should have been doing this from the start. But here, I'll keep that up actually. Ooh. So July 4th, 1826 to July 4th, 1831. So July 4th, 1826, John Adams and Thomas Jefferson die on the same day.
Wow.
1,826 days later, James Monroe dies on the same day. And if you want to look even deeper at it, that's a total of 60 months. Well, there's a lot of interesting phrases that match up with this. One of them being one of my favorite words, coincidence equals 60. And you might just say, oh, you're just throwing it in there. It's like, yeah, people call it a coincidence for sure. But even, let's see, what was it? Article. Death of John Adams. This was the headline of, which one was it? Look at this. The most perfect coincidence in American history. And people just eat that up. But what they called it was a remarkable coincidence. Let's see if I can find it. This is going to be explanation 1, coincidence. that the two deaths occurred on the same day could be a coincidence, as it is often assumed. But if so, it is a coincidence of considerable magnitude. Yeah, you're telling me. It goes into the probability too. So that's worth reading. It's just tiny. I know you guys can't see that. Man, this is why I need a screenshot. I just wasn't doing a presentation at the time. I really should, though. Either way, you can see that coincidence is brought up when it comes to that. But even the first article written the day after John Adams, and so 3 articles came out about Thomas Jefferson, and people knew about him dying before they knew about John Adams. And once they found out about John Adams dying, then there was an article that came out talking about the coincidence of them both dying on the same day. And what's interesting too about it is the like nepotism, because John Adams died in Braintree, whatever state that is in, and let's see, let's bring it up. And they eventually renamed Braintree to Quincy, named after John Adams' like grandfather or something like that. And so then you have his son, John Quincy Adams, become the president, and his birth name is named after John Quincy, the grand. It's just, but they renamed the town Quincy after John Quincy, not a president or anything like that. What is I'm trying to remember where he was from. Personal. Yeah, see, Braintree, now Quincy. But Braintree, Massachusetts, that's right. It's right outside of Boston.
You got the 9/11 thing going on there, October 19th.
Yeah, and this shows the old standard too, so it shows, this is the changing of the calendar. That's why they have 2 different dates. And so it's probably worth running the dates.
Either one. You got October 30th, which you could say as 13, like the 13 stripes, 13 colonies too.
13 families.
Yes. What were you saying about 60? It equaling 60?
So yeah, I mean, just it's quite the list. You have coincidence, and then what an even larger coincidence is 4th of July equaling 60. Also that 177 as well, but that's interesting. Also the 57 like coincidence as well. You also have presidents equals 60. Inauguration equals 60. Got the 150, 75, very Illuminati-esque numbers, but and then interestingly enough too, you have red, white, ampersand, blue, also equaling 60. There's a lot of interesting syncs there, and you got to think about it too. It's just like if they're doing. Have you ever seen what's that fucking National Treasure with Nicolas Cage?
Oh, have I? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you remember how it's like heavily Masonic, and his dad or his grandfather was a Mason, or great grandfather was a Mason, and he knew of like a cipher that all the Masons created in order to hide the like secret of the Declaration of Independence and what it had to do with like the Confederates and all these things. Well, just keep that in mind that, you know, they came up with a numerical cipher for that. But anyway, well, it was actually, it was a numerical and like riddle cipher. There was numbers and riddle words encoded into it. But either way, yes, very familiar. But wow, what was I going to say? I mean, that might have been my point. That actually might have been my point. I was going with it. For some reason, I thought that maybe it wasn't the point. But anyway, it's just they've told you about how there was conspiracy back in the day, and that conspiracy's got that 57 as well. I just want to point that out.
And the 147, like 4th of July.
Yep. Absolute conspiracy that was.
Well, and the day that you said, was it John Adams that died in 1831?
No, that was Monroe. That was James Monroe.
Monroe died. And so that was 60 months later. And it also was a day, July 4th, 1831, with 60 date numerology as well.
Oh, yeah, I did notice that too. Yeah, good point. Good, very good catch. Yeah, good eyes, buddy. Thanks. I didn't have that written down. I did notice that though. Yeah, absolutely. And what I was going to say, that's what I was going to say about the whole national treasure thing, and then like telling you basically to your face about it. Back in the day, you didn't have a media source, you know, you couldn't sleuth on this kind of stuff. If you're not a Mason, you don't know. If there's no way to look into this. I'm sure all this stuff seemed potentially on the up and up just because of how much was going into it and the optics. And most laymen had people die very recently, just before that. Daughters, sons, fathers dying at post-Revolutionary War, and then even after that, just in the terrible conditions that supposedly America was in, or most of America, or at least poor America. And so you can imagine that, you know, they understand these codes and ciphers. And so to them, it's just like, ooh, let's just do it this 4th of July. Ooh, let's do it this day because it matches this. And it's just like, it's very reminiscent of, it's just like most people will do things like, think of a scam. It's just like they're not thinking of 60 years down the line. They're not thinking about their next generation. They're just thinking of like them getting to pull the wool over these people's eyes now. They're not, I'm sure they weren't even thinking about the technological age where everybody's just going to see this shit easy. Just look it up and boom. Oh, you did that? Like they were thinking they had this shit on lock. Like no one's going to know what we were doing. That's what National Treasure was all about. Yeah. Like you had to know, you had to be so included and then know everything about who was included in order to break the code. And think about a secret society. Wouldn't that shit be fun to do? I'm sitting here playing devil's advocate at this point. Wouldn't you want to do that kind of shit? If you had like a society of people that were all down to keep the secret, and I'm not saying to be evil. Let's take away the evil part out of it. Let's say you're just a chess club, or say you're just a fucking club at school. Wouldn't you want your own secret like thing? It's not like necessarily evil. Obviously, I think that the main people who do this shit is for what we would consider evil reasons. Yeah. But
dude, in a relatable way, like if someone wants to walk and try to get the idea, because the point you're making, doesn't that sound like fun? Absolutely, it does. And so I would say it's probably similar to like, you know, parents, if you have a child, is like Christmas is coming up and you have that gift for them, and you and the other parent know that of what the kid's gonna get for Christmas, but you can't tell them, you know. It's like a good feeling. You're like, oh, we got him that bike he wanted, and he can't know about it, you know, because he'll find out later. But like, you know, that's like part of the fun of it for the parents, I imagine, right?
And these are our founding fathers, so maybe this is the gift all along.
Yeah. Corporation.
Yeah, there's lots to it. I mean, I even started perusing the On This Day, just fun to do. Wait. And there were some interesting figures. Oh, gosh, I cannot type.
Like that have passed away on that day?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, this goes all the way back to 907. Or was that 80? But yes, there was Pope Benedict. I think there was another Pope who died on July 4th of July as well. I might be wrong with that. Might have been
coincidence. I mean, coincidence, man. Come on.
Pope Benedict V. Let's see. What Pope was he?
Whoa. That's like Marv, isn't it? Marv in Home Alone gets his hair burnt like that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And that's very... Yeah, that's interesting. It's got the Saturn. You go into the barber and just ask for the Saturn. He's like, I got you, man.
I kind of like it.
Let's see. Is it not going to say which one he was? Thank you.
522.
Actually, I'll just say when he was. Another Hamburg. Interesting.
In the year 988. Okay.
So it's not okay. Maybe you just got to be blunt. What?
Dude, look at his face. Did he have like a medical issue? Like that. Obviously, it's an illustration, but in the bottom right, man, it looks like he got smashed in the face with something.
Yeah, he had a little extra stuff going on up there. He was the 131st Pope. Pope Benedict.
Interesting, because sports ties so much with the Pope. The Pope's birthday, when the popes die, whatever. It's tied into sports so much. And 131 is championship number.
Yeah, very true. Wonder who won the sports championship in 900.
Right. When I saw something about it, I was watching something, I think it was a couple weeks ago, and it was talking about, because basically the Olympics are kind of where sports came from, right? At least in like a structured or like a sanctioned way, maybe. I think the Olympics are kind of like the birth of sanctioned sports. And I can't remember what year they said the first Olympics were, but.
$1896. There's no way. No, I think you're meaning like even before then.
Yeah, I'm talking about going back to like when the Coliseum was built.
Yeah. 776.
Oh, okay.
At least that's what it says.
Yeah, okay. I guess that's a thing called ancient Olympics. My bad. Can't imagine. Like
the French came up with the idea to bring them back.
Okay. Huh.
Sure, there was no ritualism involved in having them in Athens, Greece, or nothing.
So, so we got the French involved with that there. We got heavy, French involvement with the beginning of this country as well.
I mean, you had the Napoleon. Wasn't Napoleon like in America like 3 weeks after he was in Egypt or something? Isn't there some weird timeline thing where it just like doesn't make sense in the history books where it said he was like conquering Egypt and blew the face off the Sphinx and then he was like in America instantly?
I don't know, but
or maybe not America.
Surprised me that they messed up in that way. I didn't know this though. This is interesting.
Yeah, maybe not America. It might have been another place.
Escaped from St. Helena, wound up in the United States in 1821.
I guess it's a theory.
I believe it. Because dude, all these things are lies. How, like you're making the point, how many of these people are actually, it's completely fictional or, not even real.
Yeah, I think that's the main theory about Napoleon, is that he probably never even existed. And much like many major historical figures, like a lot of the pharaohs and things of that nature, these are people these are posthumous titles and things given to explain a history that you're usurping, that you're like taking over. So you just fill in the blanks and give a history that no one's going to be able to basically refute it.
Well, I mean, I think it happens right in front of our faces, as far as like, Napoleon maybe being fictional or this or that. I mean, in my opinion, it shouldn't be too far of a reach to get there. When you think about celebrities or public figures, those, you can essentially see them as like, say Napoleon's completely fictional and it wasn't a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference of, in my opinion, a lot of these public figures, celebrities, it's the same thing. They have different name. This persona that you see as whatever, Marilyn Monroe or whatever, that's not the real name. That's not whatever the backstory you're told of how they end up where they're at. It's completely fiction. So it's really no difference if there's a biological or a robotic avatar in front of you, or if it's just you're reading about it in a history book, and you can't actually, your timelines don't line up to where you could actually have laid eyes on this person or not. It's the same thing as if you're able to lay eyes on them today. It's just there might be a biological or a robotic avatar to that name or that story, that persona. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And a lot of people don't a lot of people are so short-sighted. They can't understand that there's a future to now. Like, this is not the only time ever. And the people that have owned our history and our future plan out our future to be eventual history. Like, that's why you have people larger than life being written about right now. And think about how much they do it in sports. It's like you have, Michael Jordan's, in year 3000, people are going to think he was like an intergalactic conqueror or something. Oh, he was a wizard right before he died. He became a wizard. Holy shit.
How we see Zeus, they're going to see Jordan,
Just dunking on dudes.
Yeah.
I mean, think about, interestingly enough, how all the past rulers, they hold what's that fucking thing called? The orb. A lot of people say it's like the early depiction of the earth or whatever, but you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, you talking about like Atlas or something?
No. Like
holding the orb.
Royalty holding the sphere. Let's call it the sphere.
Is this like in like paintings and stuff?
This thing.
Okay.
The royal orb.
Huh.
But yeah, wow. In every painting, the king and queen or whoever the ruler is holding this.
Dude, now I get it. The music artist Roy Orbison, Royal Orb. I get it now. Oh my gosh, I didn't know. I mean, I've seen the Royal Orb. I didn't know that's what it was called. Okay,
the Royal Orb. If I could just get my hands on it. That's what she's thinking back here. Oh,
oh dude, it's like my precious for sure, dude. Well. That makes me think, what is with these royal orbs? I wonder what kind of
there's lots of theories. We need to have a show where we talk about these like esoteric principles and crazy things, like, and highlight them. Many times I've skimmed over these things, but I shouldn't say never. Me and Austin have done a wide range of topics, but it'd be nice to do like a full show on just like some craziness. Like
what makes me think, have you seen like somewhat more recent videos, like within the last handful of years? A lot of them are Middle Eastern or from Egypt, where it'll be like a stone, and if it's in a glass, like you can't see its reflection in the mirror, or it sometimes it'll make glass break. It can heat things up. It's weird, dude. There's like this. It's like a stone, and it's almost like a talisman, and that's what this royal orb kind of reminds me of, like a talisman. You know what I mean?
It's definitely. It's depicted on like scepters sometimes, and there's. I mean, we can look up what they say it is, but that's not very fun. It's always something like that. I just say it's something that appeases people. I want to go deeper than that. Got Mr. Antoine Daniel. What's very interesting about this is this French Jesuit missionary. He dies at 47. I believe his name equals 47. What was it? Was it just Daniel? No, what was it? Oh. No, it wasn't Jesuit. Although it's funny, when I did type in Jesuit priest, that might have been over my head. The interesting overlap. It's like, oh, there's coincidence. I'm sure that's just a big coincidence. The 54, 153 there, but what are the odds? There was a 47 with him, but I was just looking just really briefly, and it stuck out to me.
47. The guy above him, Thomas.
July 4th, 4/7. It can be written 4/7. He dies at 47. That's what it was.
Look at right here, the mockery with Thomas Middleton dying on 4/7 at the age of 47, and he was an quote unquote English playwright. English equals 74. Is this correct?
I believe so. Just like
so then you could also say he died on 74. It's kind of like a reflection play on the 4 and the 7 there. With
7/4. Yeah, 70. You got the 74 and the 47 through the date. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just a game at chess too. It's just like, yeah, I think I can guess where this Thomas Middleton, where his allegiances lied. Yeah, let's keep Governor Dirks.
So this is famous deaths from all over, or like it doesn't matter just in the world. Interesting how many French. There's so many French.
Yeah, quite a lot. Yeah.
To die on this day.
And we're starting to get into more of the what's the word? I guess the 1700s anyway. 18th century. So. What if Charles is dead? It's a popular name.
A Brazilian poet at 59. So like today, a day after the Brazil goes down, I guarantee you there's some sort of mockery that go back with Claudio Manuel.
As well, there was the Elizabeth of Portugal, the Queen of Portugal. She died on 4th of July too. I wonder if that had anything to do with Portugal's last win or something. But she was a saint, so she got canonized. Who did it? Who did it?
Through this list, I bet you can find a lot of the World Cup teams are represented, right? On this list.
I've seen, pretty much all of them.
Yeah, England.
Maybe not some of the African ones, Cape Verde or whatever. But then here we go. Got the John Adams, Thomas Jefferson. Yeah. But then this is interesting too. The German surgeon who helped create modern plastic surgery. So kind of interesting if you think about it. There's a lot of theories about what Mr. Hitler did after the war.
Ferdinand von Graff.
Like graft.
Then you think of like a skin graft, and that's a type of kind of cosmetic surgery, at least,
Absolutely. It'd be interesting to find out what his role in modern plastic surgery is. We are going to wrap it up here just soon, but let's just go down this list. French novelist, a fellow of the Royal Society. You've got to always look out for that fellow word. It's not like, hey, what's up, fella? It's not what they mean by that.
It's like saying, brother. What's up, brother? What's up, man? No, it's not a term of endearment. You say that's
it's a title.
Being a fellow is a prestige.
Oh yeah, it's a title, 100%. Yes. We got Belgian right here.
Paul Revere.
Wait, what? The grandson of Paul Revere died on 4th of July?
Unbelievable. Wow. In the Civil War too, man. Union Army. It sounds like at 30.
Well,
sounds like it was in the Civil
Paul
War.
Revere was in the Union Army.
Well, I'm saying, but his grandson. It sounds like a Civil War death because it says Union Army.
Oh yeah, 1863.
1863. Yeah. So his grandfather was in the Revolutionary War.
There's no war never changes.
The Civil War, nepotistic.
Yeah, you're
countrywide
right.
battles. And there's the 91, September 10th, like you were just talking about earlier. The September 10th with Charlie Kirk and all these other things. Wow.
It's got the 109 too. Isn't that like, that's military? Is that 109 or 107? It's 109 and 107. So military 109. Very interesting. Paul Revere.
I think this
living in his grandpa's shadow.
Dude, I'm gonna try to remember this for real because I think one of the hardest things to try to get across to somebody when you're trying to relay the information, a lot of times we talk about recent events, right? And recent happenings or people that are alive right now. And I think, what I'm trying to say is like not people who are already accepting to this information, but people maybe that you are trying to get to realize and awaken to certain things. This would be a good example because I think a lot of times people get stuck in the recent and they think that this is what, they're fixing games now, or their elections are rigged now. And it's like, no, dude, go back 200 years, go back 300 years. These things are by the numbers all the way back then. Like this, it's always been a rig forever. But I think that's a lot of people don't think that. I think, or they don't think back far enough that it goes back far enough. I don't know if you've run into that issue at all with talking with people, especially people who are older than us, an older generation or two. And you're trying to talk about some of these kinds of things. They get caught up in like that. It's a lot of times they have a hard time realizing that this has been going on before they were born. Before this was even a country. This number and strategically rigging and number ritual, like lining these deaths up and births up and these stories with these people. This has been a thing forever.
I mean, look at mythology. This is modern day mythology. And a lot of it has to do with your ego is an extremely strong force in your psychology, and trying to break your ego it's something you're not like without a good enough incentive to, you talk about ego death. Have you ever heard about ego death and rising above your own primitive psychology to like reach a higher plane type of deal? Mm-hmm. Why people are so stuck on that is because you'll have people's subconscious leading their conscious. So it's like they're awake. You're not asleep. Like, okay, like literally you're awake. You're not asleep. Your conscious should be not 100%. Give it all. Maybe not. I don't know how that works, but most of the percentage should be going towards your conscious brain. But that's not what's happening. People are still functioning with high percentages left in their subconscious, where they're pulling an initial thought as their root knowledge. So you'll have people fight you on a concept or idea because somebody else got in there first and planted that idea first. They it's not that they're an expert on it, but they'll talk like it because they think they know it because they got there first. I talked about this so many times on the channel, but that's the main focus of subconscious training of children. Is just getting the concept in there first. And once you do, like think about all these kids coming up during COVID. They are going to think that this is a natural part of life. And when when they're of age, they're not going to rebel against it more than they might not even agree with it. But what happens if someone tries to tell them that it's all fake? Like maybe not all fake. Maybe you shouldn't talk in, I try not to talk in like all absolutes. Or not or never absolutes. Yeah. Yeah. But like someone comes up with good reasons, like take Zach's channel, for instance, point A, point B, point C, point D. I didn't make any of these up. You can look them up yourself. No, man. Don't you know about polio? Don't you know about this? It's just they're experts. There's no getting through like that ego of theirs because they think they already know about it, and so they think that they'll spread that without even looking into anything, because to admit that is wrong, just like sports is one of the best examples. It is impossible. I have homies I gotta like still be around. Well, like homies that were more of my homies back in the day, but like one I still work with. And he's just so into sports, and like he'll come. I keep my distance on that kind of stuff with him almost all the time, so he almost never brings up sports to me. But sometimes he still does, and I'm just like, bro, I want to wring your neck, bro. How? Like, I don't want to call you stupid, my dude, but it's like you have every opportunity to understand. I've told you about it. You have every opportunity to understand and see. Like, he's a San Francisco 49ers fan. I'm like, bro. You didn't see the ritualism they just did with the Seahawks, just absolutely boots to ass your whole fucking dreams this year. No, it's like if you had any inkling of what I know about and what I've talked to you about, it's just like he was devastated. I mean, this is the kind of guy who makes sure he has Sundays off during football season. So it's just that right then and there. It's just like, holy shit, here we go. You know, think about how many people take work off for the World Cup. Like, that's a trackable thing. They talk about it every year. The crazy amount of like influx of work, of like workflow and schedules, and like even the markets, because people leave work for the World Cup and Super Bowl and all the, you know,
March Madness. It's like a joke. It's like on social media, you'll see that little template letter to your employer, I'm going to be missing. And it's like a whole joke thing that like, and it's mockery. The fact that those posts go viral of you sending a letter to your employer about how you're not going to make it in on Monday morning because the March Madness final went double overtime and didn't get over till 3 a.m. Oh, sorry, I'm going to have to miss work. March Madness, going to have to miss work. And it's the mockery of it. The fact that you're going to throw away the things, not only the things that matter most, which is time and like, you know, your family and loved ones, is being able to spend time with them is the most important thing. But even the fact that it costs an arm and a leg to put groceries on the table for a week, and you're totally messing up your ability to put food on the table potentially because we got a full slate of basketball games, baby.
And it's constantly we have to shoot ourselves in the foot for this whole thing to work for them, for the controllers. They barely do anything to us. That's why like they force us. They put us into a situation, but it is on us to prioritize and still, you know, handle the business we need to handle. And when people don't do that, it's real. You can sit there in 2020 and this and this, and it's just like you can only do that for so long. It's like we're already almost, you know, we're over a decade or over half a decade past it now. How long? How long is this going to be the focal point? And trust me, this is coming from someone. I understand that there was a flux and there was a change in this world. I totally get that, but it's just like you don't have to be. You didn't have to be. And yeah, maybe that's short-sighted. Maybe psychologically, some people did honestly have to be, and they're actually. But at that point, you have to sit there and say, well, there's some people that can't be saved, and that's a scary thought, and it's still a real thought because I think that is partially true. But to say to the scale of how many people can't be saved, that's where it's kind of like World War Z, kind of like, oh shit, I'm gonna be one dude running from an army of thousands at any point in time.
I contemplate this a lot. I contemplate that. I got to at least mentally run myself through the possibility of like, dude, what would happen if I had to be in that kind of a survival mode. You know what I mean? Because it's potentially likely. Who knows? 15 years from now, that's like an eternity when you take the exponential technology curve into play. 15 years from now,
the world is going to be completely upside down in 15 years.
I might be spotting robots, bro. I don't even know. Could I be ready for that? I mean, they won't a robot. Look at the drone technology and how they can take down anything now. You know what I mean? It'll be very easy.
And I've talked about, me and Austin talked heavily about drones, that they gave us the technology. Did you know about Marie Curie?
I did not know she died on
4th of July. Yep, absolutely. And she died at 66. And what did she discover? Oh, what we just talked about, radium, right? Oh, I wonder what that equals. Oh, 66. Wow.
Get out of town.
That's fun. But I've ever since I found out about Marie Curie, I'm like, are you kidding me? Her name's Curie, and she just happens to like discover like things that cured people. Like, shut the hell up. Yeah.
That's solid points though that you make with that. You're talking about the amount of people, because my rational mind kind of knows and understands that there's a lot of people that we're talking about, you can't be saved in a sense, you know what I mean? Or aren't going to be able to survive whatever kind of like real hardships. If there's an event that causes some pretty severe hardships, there's a lot of people that won't be able to. We're just such an unhealthy, especially in this country, unhealthy culture and society. There won't be a lot of people to be able to survive it that way. There's multiple different heads to this monster, a way they're going to be able to potentially depopulate. And my rational mind knows this, and maybe can even accept it on a certain level. But then my maybe human nature, as much as I get disgusted and like just over like the ignorance and idiocy, my human nature, even though I might not like somebody, I still want to help them. And I wish I didn't, in a way, maybe. I don't know. That might be messed up, but
it's like one of those things.
Not want to help somebody. Like I could despise somebody, but if they are in trouble out in front of my house and needed, really anything, I'm going to do it. You know what I mean?
It's a juxtaposition for sure, because and it's so funny because so many movies that have like an extinction level event or some shift in it that happens, they play you that, like, when it happens, they give you that scene where the main character cannot help, like, without killing himself, he cannot help that person who's reaching out, like, right there. They do that all the time, dude. That is like, and that's playing on something in your human nature too. That's like guilting you into a reality that I think is somewhat soon to be. And, because I think, through my research, I personally believe in cataclysm theory, that we've been reset and these things
it's cyclical. It'll happen again.
That normally it'll happen just under natural, quote unquote, natural circumstances, but that the ruling class is doing everything they can to not only be able to control that, look at all the weather manipulation, but also not to make it never happen again, but just so that they're on top of it when it does at all times, because they've always been on top of it, but not able to conquer it. They've never conquered the reset, but they've been able to hide away from it and do whatever they need to do in order to be the first ones out and be those top hats coming out of the caves to rule over the new people, in my opinion.
I totally
never conquered
it. Absolutely. I totally relate with you on the cataclysm and the cyclical nature and stuff. Interested real quick to hear what you think about, because if that is the case, right? There's lots of energy and emotion put into trying to like change things, or the fact that we can maybe slow down, and it'll be painted as environmental or green this or certain things, carbon footprints, or other ways where they're blaming it on basically pollution and the environment, which is causing weather anomalies, which could lead to whatever. But like when we're talking about the cataclysm thing, this is like, and if it's cyclical, that's temporal. That's based on a time loop. And to me, my experience shows me, I think that there are kind of signs in things that naturally occur the way we experience life here. And, a day is a cycle, a temporal cycle. We see it visually with a sun and a moon and light and dark, but it really it's more about it's temporal in its core. It's about a time, linear time basically, and then makes the next day comes around. Linear time, this amount, and it makes the next day come around. Or you can see it like through weather and it being like a year's time frame. But these are temporal seasons, and they're cyclical, like exactly right. So they're cyclical, and I think that cataclysm is cyclical and it's temporal, and there's not really a lot you can do about it. I mean, it's
so that's an interesting thought. I'm like half in, half out of that, because when the further you go, it's interesting that the concept of time, to say it's like based off of a certain amount of time. Well, then you're basically what that almost guarantees that you believe in a higher power, because who made the time for this? Like what naturally, it's like you could say the seasons and stuff are naturally occurring, but like there's always a further question, like, but why? Why does it need to be hot and then cold and then rainy and then not rainy? What, like, you could look at at that point, are you saying, is it because of the plants that it's like that? Are we saying the plants and the plant life, and is that why the world reacts the way it does in the seasons it reacts? And if you look at, deserts and high deserts, like, snowy areas, there's lack of plant life and it's always one sort of season. Is that why? Because the plant life isn't, or is it, you can either go terrestrial or extraterrestrial in your thinking there, but your concept of time and it being based on time, I don't know about that. There's a lot to do, like almost every ancient faith or whatever, every ancient mythology, whatever you want to call it. I shouldn't call it a mythology. Every ancient whatever their writings or their understanding of it was that it has to do with a place that the world is in, and like, it almost lends credence.
Is that what you're talking about? Like a society, how people are behaving? Is this what you mean?
That's it, in more modern type of text. Absolutely, yes.
Yeah,
but
I agree with this. Like I think it's the vibe or the frequency. I think that plays into it. I think there's a temporal element to it, but so basically you're saying that it's kind of our collective consciousness.
Well, it manifests in different ways. I think in ancient times there was, historically written, they talk about Babylon and those types of things, and with the scattering of the people and the flood and all that kind of stuff having to do with basically a lack of humanity. When humanity reaches a point, and I'm not saying the number of humans, I'm talking about the quality of the human, right. That we are the fosters and we are the tenders of the land. And when we lose sight of that and we're looking elsewhere and we're not doing our job, hire some new people type of shit. like we don't need these people anymore. But
we got to start over. This is not working.
Did you ever watch Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Super?
I've seen here and there. I don't
Okay, well, Dragon Ball Super was like the newest offshoot of Dragon Ball, and what that kind of brought into the scope of the series is they had a giant tournament between all of the universes. There's like several different universes, and they all had to have a fighting tournament to see which, as far as they know, to see which ones are going to survive. What you find out later on is that there were certain worlds that weren't universes that weren't allowed to be in the tournament because they got erased before, and they got erased because they lacked a certain level of humanity. And this is an anime about fighting dudes. It's just fighting dudes. That's all people think about this. But at the same time, they like drop this kind of bomb on you that it's like the whole time, the Earth that you're used to, where they had this alien land, Goku, and he's like the main character, and he's basically Earth's greatest fighter but he's not from Earth anyway. He's still in the same universe as Earth. That we've been threatened to be destroyed if we don't take part in the tournament, and if you win, you come to find out it's not every tournament that lost did get destroyed. It was just a threat to make sure everybody played their hardest, basically. Yeah. But some universes were destroyed because their humanity levels were too low. That's like the premise of that, and that's not because they made it up. They draw from Chinese mythology, Japanese mythology, heavily on Japanese mythology, obviously, but also Indian mythology, like the Krishnas and all sorts of weird things like that. The Vedic texts or whatever they're called, and there's so. A lot of them talk about, and like I'm saying, even that precept, even that concept being in the Bible, the thought that whether or not your world survives or is hit by a cataclysm, the Noah flood or the Babylon or the fires from heaven, has to do with the level of humanity at like that time,
quality of the collective soul, and like the morals or standards or values it holds matters. You know what I'm saying? Which, if you want to, take that down to each individual soul, the quality of it matters. Because you're basically saying that in the Dragon Ball Z, some of those universes didn't get to participate.
They became evil. They became like past 70% evil. So there were still good people on those universes, but they got lumped in with the holes because it wasn't worth saving. They're too evil.
Well, there is an exact story in the Bible of this. It's right around the Sodom and Gomorrah deal, and it's Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah.
And I can't remember who it was that was speaking with the angels and basically talking with God. Was it Abraham?
Lot?
Yes, Lot? It was Lot. It was Lot, because he offered the villagers were coming to like get after these guys that he brought, if you know what I mean. And so Lot tried to offer his daughters instead of them coming after these men that he brought with him into the town. But this is exact conversation that Lot was having with God is exactly kind of what you're explaining. He's like, if there's even 10 good people, will you not destroy it? And he said he agreed on that. But then,
I think, wasn't the story that like, he was kind of like overreaching because weren't the people he was talking about ended up not being good? Like, weren't his daughters not good? They looked back, they disobeyed God and they got like turned to pillars of salt or something like that.
Yes.
Or his wife and his daughters.
And I think the people that he had brought with him that he was, the villagers that were trying to come get these men that he brought to do whatever, and he offered his daughters instead. I'm pretty sure, the daughters didn't have a quality soul, if you will, or didn't live up to a quality soul. Same with the people that he was protecting and offering his daughters in place of. I don't think they were very well either. But it was like trying to protect trash in a sense. But I mean, we all know, as far as the story goes, we know what happened,
What's interesting about that, like just that concept as well, is the idea that cyclical is based off of our concept of time. So you'll have like cycles of the moon, and it's like 19 years. But it's like the moon doesn't give a shit about our calendar. And I'm not even saying I believe in the moon, but let's take a step back and just. So I'm not saying I don't, but I don't. I guess I am saying. But anyway, the point being is the luminary, the observation of the luminaries. They're based off of these cycles that are set upon. We set standards based on our standard that we came up with. So I don't believe that the natural cycle is based off of our standard understanding of time. Because time, I don't think a linear version of time, I don't think is necessarily what it is. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm with the every aspect of what people say otherwise. Like time is a fucking morphine. Like you know, you can go backwards and forwards, and we can just as easily go backwards. We just lost our ability to, and we're just blah blah blah. That's angels can. When you go to heaven, that's a place without a time. Whatever it is, may be. I think time is attributed to death and life and death. And that's why we have a concept of time, is because of aging. I think that's why we keep track of time from the beginning that we ever came up with it, was to be able to track a human's lifespan. In my opinion, that's what I think we came up with time for. And it's, you know, obviously it has it's a multifunctional tool nowadays, but to use that, and why I say that is because I think there was a necessary use for it, was to track how many lifetimes until. So traditions, to be able to track and keep traditions in, say, traditions that keep your spirit intact and your soul, you know, on the right path. Mm-hmm. What, you know, nowadays, with how disconnected we are with, you know, human values and morals, it takes what, you know, for all I know, in 2 generations, my son could, or in a generation, my son could have not instilled his children with the same values I instilled in him. And what it's, if his children, you know, maybe have an inkling or so, it's going to be much easier for them to fall in line with the bull crap and become a 70% evil planet that needs to be reset. And at that point, so it's like time in its initial necessity was partially for, you know, logistical things like the days and the cycles and everything that makes sense. And obviously with seasons and stuff too, but that it was to like highlight or to keep track of like your generations and your genealogy, which by the way used to be super important to everybody, not the royalty, not everybody cared about their genealogy. Everybody used to. So the fact that nobody does now, that's kind of sketchy. And then we have to send our DNA off to be told who we were related to. Yeah, I think it had a place in monitoring and keeping us in track with, you know, the traditions that have been preserved from the beginning, like mainly to do with genealogy and keeping track of not just families but communities and things of that nature. And like the same thing goes, I was saying about like the founding fathers not thinking anybody was ever going to figure anything out because it was just a bunch of dudes running around crying about tea and rum and whiskey, and who are poor, could barely eat, supposedly. You know, same goes for like the early humans. Like what were they on? Like, I'm sure, I doubt that they were on like some evil shit, the ones that were just, you know, trying to make do and do the human thing. But I doubt they thought ever there would be this technological age where everybody is so far removed from like what we should be doing that it wasn't going to be as easy as just, you know, keeping it to your next, you know, telling your next generation. Just tell the next generation and boom, your job is done as a human back in the day. Nowadays, there's so many different ways to be pulling at you that it's so easy to slip into what's considered evil or immoral, immorality. Immorality is so easy to slip into that, you know, good luck keeping your genealogy intact.
It reminds me of the beginning of 2001: A Space Odyssey, when the monolith comes down and all the caveman Neanderthals, and then it gives them, it shifts their perspective and their consciousness, or boosts it, however you want to see it, to where they start using like the bones and stuff as tools, and very quickly go to using them as weapons on each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And up until then, you know, very good analogy pulled out. Personally, there's certain things that, like, as a truth seeker, I do feel kind of like like I'm kind of just playing a part because I haven't seen 2001: A Space Odyssey. I haven't read 1984.
Oh, dude, there's so many. There's so many. That's why I like Soylent Green. That's why part of the reason I watched Soylent Green and Westworld like the last week or a couple weeks ago, because I've heard so much stuff and people's take on this part of it or that part of that movie, and I'd never seen them. And I was like, man, they pop up on, recommend for YouTube. I guess from the stuff I watch or whatever, it pops up, suggests it. And for
what year was the Westworld movie? What did that?
I want to say 73. 74.
The concept of Westworld 73, you're absolutely right. It's so funny when with the idea of what I talk about, like what I think about. I think the Wild West was fake. That's me personally. I think that Buffalo Bill was a main contributor into the manufacturing of the idea of what the Wild West was. Meanwhile, they were able to consolidate this entire country, thinking that we were all just running around digging for gold and being crazy and setting up little pop-up towns here and there. And those pop-up towns did get set up, but they were set up around mines that were mining for resources, not just coal. Yes, coal, but what do they say they find coal? What's inside coal? Anyway, yeah, Westworld is so funny. This like futuristic society creates a simulation where you can go in there and live in the Wild West. It's just like, dude. It's like, what? Yeah, I'm sure this is an original idea. It's a cool idea, but I don't know how original it is.
Correct.
And that's what you find out about most movies. Almost every movie. These are not like, dude, by the way, almost every movie is a telling of some religious theology. Every single movie.
Yeah.
You can find the Christ figure in almost every single movie, Western movie. I bet Western, not Western movie, but like in the West, the Westernized nations.
Well, people make
just
like Neo in the Matrix and line it up with the story. It's just like, okay, now go do it with Nemo. Okay, now go do it with Nemo. Okay, now go do it with Humpty Dumpty. Whatever, dude, it's all the same.
Absolutely. Well, this has been a very cool conversation, kind of a lot of different ways, and I'm hoping that people have their own interesting things they want to share about whatever, especially giving us some feedback for what we should do our next episodes on. I love just winging it, sort of winging it. A lot of what we talked about are offshoots of the main subject, but still, it'd be nice to have like a overarching subject and like really go in on it too. Like that's always fun as well. Not to say that this wasn't awesome.
Well, let's think on it, and you and I can email back and forth, and let's nail a thing down. Okay.
And especially if we get something early enough from the community in the comment section or whatever, hit us up, and we'll try to get our homework done and present something.
The world stage could go ahead and provide us some new crazy situation that would also help too.
We did just have the World's Fair, the Trump's World's Fair. I did want to mention that, but it's a little long in the tooth at this point. One thing before we go though, let me pull this up in the background. So I forgot to get this pulled up, but I want to shout out an independent creator here in Zach's community. You guys might be familiar with him, but Jay with Open Eyes. I think he goes by a different YouTube channel, which I'll try to get that pulled up as well. I think it's like Hidden Marco.
He's down here in Georgia with me, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't. Yeah, I forgot to put. I didn't put those two and two together.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's in Atlanta, which I'm a couple hours away from Atlanta. I'm not in Atlanta anymore. So
let's at least.
Atlanta. I needed a slower pace in the mountains instead, man.
Oh man, I should have looked up a URL. I knew I should have done this beforehand. Let's see.
Oh, are you talking about his book?
Yes.
That he came out with? Yeah.
I mean, I know the name and everything of it, but like looking up on a site like Amazon is absolutely insane.
Yeah, I was listening to him break that down and kind of explain it the other day. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd love to be in some way part of it. To get him on the show and like talk to him. I've reached out to him before, but to get him on the show and like talk to here. Okay, cool. Because
I talked with him a long time ago, back in like I've called in. I called into Zach's TFR shows like years back, a couple times around when Bob Saget died. Is I think the last time I called into TFR, Zach was hosting it.
But yeah, he just, this has been a long-standing project of his. He's talked about it multiple times. You guys are familiar with the Zach's community or Jay with Open Eyes. And he's finally got his story down. And, he has illustrations in the work for a future project. But he was able to get his story out, and it sounds really cool. I haven't bought it yet. I do plan on buying it. I don't know if I'm going to do the physical copy or just the Kindle yet, but I might go paperback here, but I'll let you know if I buy it and read it, and I'll give it even more shout outs. But I'll try to keep getting contact with him as well. I think one idea that'd be really cool for him is to make it somehow like a crowd-funded ability to be a part of the of his book, whether it's a concept, whether it's concept art or something like that. Because I know I would potentially want to be involved in the concept art. I used to do a lot of artistic endeavors, and so I love like the idea of his thing already, and I'd love to come up with like a character or even an angel number or whatever he's got going on. And
that's a good idea. The crowdsourcing, like your point on that, is a fantastic point, because especially I see like in just the way things are kind of in nowadays, participation's big, and the fact that who creates the content is so much easier. There's so much more accessible to the people that ingest their content. You know what I mean? It's so much easier to communicate or get in touch with. So like, I think that's a great idea. The crowdsourcing, like as far as the ideas, because he said he's doing more. Correct? This is the short one.
Well, this is the non-illustration version of his like, of at least a large or a large portion of the beginning of his like comic series that he was trying to put out. So eventually he wants it to be illustrated in, like, I'm sure graphic novels. I think that's what he's aiming for.
He could get an illustrated, like doing the illustration portion of this book with what you're saying, crowdsourcing could happen a lot quicker. And it would be a lot less, I don't know about a lot less work, but it would be less illustrating that he would have to do. I'm sure he wants to do some of it.
I'm sure he enjoys it. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, but like having it to where if he's trying to fill up, if he needs a lot, then he could crowdsource that out. And it'd be,
it could even be cool too, because it could like, shout out even. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's something I should look into as well. Maybe that's just something I should look into. Not to pick on his idea. Trust me, I've wanted to. Many times I've started a comic book in my years, but never gone full through with it. But
and I don't think it should go unnoticed or acknowledged. The fact that unfortunately it's pretty rare. This is a big talking society. Everyone talks about stuff. But for someone to talk about something like this and to actually, especially with a creative endeavor as this as well, but for them to talk about this, kind of make that plan out and to make it happen, to execute it. And here they actually put action behind what they were saying. And here it is right in front of your eyes. That's unfortunately, I think that's more rare. A lot of people say it and make these plans, with their mouth, and they don't actually go put action behind it. And so kudos to Jay for
absolutely
setting out to do this and having it done, man, doing it.
I also think potentially he should make a new YouTube channel that is just about this, like the creation of it, and think, a way to, that. Anyway, I'm not sitting here to try to backseat his thing at all. I really just want to shout it out. It looks awesome, and I'm going to be purchasing it, and I'll have the link in the description as well. And hopefully, I'll try to reach out to him too to see if he wants to come on the show, because he seems like a very cool dude to talk to as well. I'm sure he would jive with us, no problem. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there because I was on Zach's stream and saw that was available. And of course, as always, check out Zach's streams. It's where most of my inspiration comes from for, my original inspiration, even for doing this channel 94 weeks ago. So Also, big shout out to Austin.
Running across Zach's channel and finding Zach's channel most certainly changed my life.
As it should. The people who it doesn't, I don't know what to tell you, man. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. And like we said, hit us up in the comments if you guys have any ideas for next week. Check out Jay's book. I mean, he's got it for $1 for an ebook. So there's no reason not to. If you feel like supporting a homie, even $1 will do it, because it might not be the influx he needs into his bank account, but what it is it's a notch on his reviews. So leave him a good review. It's a notch that his book has sold, and maybe he can get trending. I would imagine with these kinds of books, even just getting like 30 books sold within a day or two, that puts you in like a better tier of like advertising and potential visibility on websites like this. I mean, it's Amazon. There's 40 million people trying to sell garbage on here. So help a brother out. I'll be buying this later on, so I look forward to reading this in my free time. But yeah, with that being said, thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you, as always, Uncommon, for hanging out again, and I'm looking forward to you next week.
Absolutely.
And yeah, we'll be back at it. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you next week. Have a good one. Peace.
Take it easy, Logan. Y'all have a good week.
Later, man.